If you live here, fun is your thing. If you live here, tough is your thing. Smart is your thing. Caring is your thing. If you live in Massachusetts, community is your thing. Since 1972, the Massachusetts State Lottery has provided over $25 billion to help cities and towns with the things they need most. If you live here, giving is your thing.
My family earns respect.
My family clears bases.
My family breaks records.
My family wins MVPs.
My family gives everything.
My family makes history. My family wins championships.
There's no family. There's no family.
There's no family.
There's no family like my family.
Join the fam.
Join the fam.
Join the fam.
When Alaska Airlines needed a partner for the complex operations of travel, they made the switch to T-Mobile. Our 5G has Alaska Airlines and their customers covered, from major hubs to remote destinations. With 5G coverage ready now for the demands of today and the future, T-Mobile's network powers Alaska Airlines as they deliver next-level care for all customers. 5G ready now. That's how unconventional thinking is better for business.
Coke Zero is now Coke Zero Sugar, with great Coke taste. Some people were excited to hear the news, some were skeptical. So we're not gonna have the star of the show you're watching come out and say, "You'll love it." No special jingle written by this week's hottest pop star. No famous internet celebs who happen to be holding the label just so.
Yeah, it looks good.
Okay, maybe just one little pour shot.
Slide that way.
The only thing that will make you believe Coke Zero Sugar has great Coke taste is trying it yourself. Ice cold Coke Zero Sugar. Try one today.
Okay, testing. Testing. Hello and welcome inside the Tim Elstrom Broadcast Center for today's matchup between the Hyannis Harborhawks and the visiting Orleans Firebirds. I'm Austin Nakuda, and joining me in the booth today is Zach Berman as we get ready for the Hawks to look to maintain first place in the West Division. Zach, a big win last night against the Cotuit Kettleers where the Harborhawks regained first. How important is it for these guys to keep the momentum rolling tonight?
Well, you're getting right to that point where the playoffs are around the corner. Regular season ends on Tuesday. You don't want to go into the postseason cold, and the Harborhawks, a big win last night coming off of 3 straight losses. The momentum and all the swagger that we've seen from this team all season seem to be back.
Yeah, Mitch Jebb, another guy who's had quite the hot streak. The last couple of games, 9 of his last 10 plate appearances, he's reached base safely. He'll be back in the lineup tonight, and that Harborhawk lineup has been so deadly, the bats have really picked it up as of late.
Yeah, no, yesterday was a real turnaround after struggling to get runners home in scoring position. Yesterday, 7 runs, you had extra base hits, you had a home run for Mitch Jebb as well. But a big part of today's game is going to be Magdale Cotto. This is his first outing since the All-Star game. Would love to see him go some distance, as the Harborhawks are not going to have another off day until the playoffs.
Well, I talked to Coach Beatty today in the Dugout Show about Magdale Cotto, today's starting pitcher. Let's take a look at the interview with Coach Beatty. Hello and welcome in today's Dugout Show. I'm Austin Nakuda, and joining me is manager Eric Beatty. Now, Coach, you guys had the off day on Thursday, come back yesterday on Friday, pick up a big win over Cotuit, 7-3 here at home. How big was that off day in terms of resetting and getting the guys fresh?
It came at a good time. We were able to kind of get together as a team and just enjoy each other's company. And I think it came at, like I said, a good time. And we came back out yesterday and played really good baseball and came out with a win.
Yeah, and you guys reclaimed the first place in the West Division with the win, taking back home field advantage heading into the playoffs. I know you spoke earlier in the year about how it doesn't matter being home or away, but in the playoffs, does that home atmosphere help you guys at all, and are you kind of concerned with trying to keep home field advantage?
That's an interesting question. I think people view it differently. We're just trying to go 1-0 every day. I do think the crowds here, Hyannis has really come through, and and supported us this year. I don't know what to compare it to much, but I've definitely looked out there, and there's been a lot of good energy from our crowds and a lot of people. So I think that home field advantage might for sure help us.
We have it behind you once again tonight as you send Magdiel Cotto to the mound. The left-hander started the All-Star game, has had some time off. What are you looking for from the Kentucky left-hander tonight?
I want him to keep doing what he's been doing all year for us. He's had some really good outings. He's commanded his fastball well. His stuff is great. He's throwing his slider in every count possible. So if he just comes out and repeats what he's been doing, he should have a really good outing.
And finally, you guys have had an influx of new talent here. You had Caleb Spur in the lineup yesterday, Drew Earhart as well, and Spur and Earhart collected a couple hits each. How big has it been having these new guys come in and produce right away to kind of give the off day to some of the veterans who have been here?
Yeah, they're coming in and helping us win right away. The best thing that they're doing a really good job of is competing. They're coming in. Some of them haven't even seen live ABs, live pitching in a couple months, and they're just coming in and really grinding out at bats and finding a way to get jobs done. They've helped us big time.
Well, thank you very much, Coach, for joining us on today's Dugout Show. Once again, let's send it back to the booth. Thank you, as always, to Coach Eric Beatty for joining us for today's Dugout Show. One of the things he talked about, Zach, keeping that momentum rolling today. Big part of that has been Tito Flores, the man from Michigan, who rejoined the Hawks, and Tito's bat's been welcomed into the lineup since his return.
Well, since he came back, he left on a little bit of a cold streak and came back. Took a little bit for his bat to heat up, but over the last week, he's now hitting over 300, and his bat getting going is going to be huge for the Harbor Hawks down the stretch.
And our sideline reporter, Bria Losick, caught up with Tito before the game.
From McKeon Park, I'm Bria Losick alongside Tito Flores from Michigan. Tonight is Host Family Appreciation Night. Host families are the core of the Harbor Hawks, housing our players. Like Tito, you live with Riku and also used to live with Connor O'Halloran. What's your host family been like for you?
Host family has been great. They treat us like kings. I can't be more grateful than the host family we've been given this summer.
What's it been like living with Riku?
He's a character. He keeps it loose on the field and then at home as well.
And just in general, what's it been like coming here and meeting so many people from all over the country and all over the world?
It's been great just in the sense of we all come from all different facets of culture, different schools, and just mixing all together. It's been fun.
And with that, you guys seem to have really good chemistry, and it's a big part of why you are where you are, which is in a playoff spot for sure. What do you think is so special about this group, and what do you think you can accomplish?
First off, we're super loose as a team. We come to the field ready to win, and as well as we just have fun, and I feel like that's the core thing about baseball.
All right, thank you so much, Tito. I'm Bria Losick, Harbor Hawks Baseball Network.
Another terrific rendition of the national anthem here at McKeon Park as we are just moments away from first pitch. Let's take a look at tonight's starting lineup, starting with the visiting Orleans Firebirds, who are getting ready to come to the plate. Luke Keishel, one of the most pure hitters in this league, batting leadoff today, playing DH. Batting second, J.D. Urso, the second baseman. In the 3 spot, Cam Jones, he's over at first today. Isaac Humphreys reached base safely in 26 consecutive games. He's playing center field, batting cleanup. Jack Bulger, a catcher who's playing left field today, can play multiple positions from Vanderbilt. Drew Metzorf, the third baseman today, followed by Garrett Gilmet, the catcher. Tommy Hope in right field, and Nick McLaury at shortstop and batting ninth. The Harbor Hawk defense today, different look, couple guys getting some days off. Christian Moore in left. Caleb Spur in center field, his first start in center, second start here in the Cape Cod Baseball League. Mike Sirota over in right. You're in field at Drew Earhart at third, Mitch Jebb at short, Riku Nishida at second, Nolan Shanoel over at first, and George Corona doing the catching for today's starter, Magdiel Cotto. Zach, we talked about the power fastball from the lefty from Kentucky, but with Spur out in center field, that means that Cole McConnell has a day off. We haven't seen him have a day off maybe all year.
No, we really haven't, and McConnell DHing today. We saw yesterday in limited action Spur used his speed to great effect out in left field, actually saved a couple runners from advancing. I'm excited to see what he can do in center field. You know, he's patrolled the outfield several seasons at Endicott, slated to go to UConn once he graduates. You got a talented ball player here in Caleb Spur.
So just moments away from first pitch, the umpires getting together at home plate. We'll send you down to the field as we talk a little bit more about today's starter, Magdiel Cotto, the lefty from Kentucky. Zach has been on another level all year. He started as a reliever, has now moved into the rotation. He even started the All-Star game at Wareham just a week or so ago. And Cotto now making his first start post-All-Star break, 2-0 on the year, a 2.05 ERA. In 22 innings of work, Mag has only allowed 15 hits while striking out 28 batters. He's got electric stuff.
Yeah, he has been nothing short of lights out all season, but the Harbor Hawks are going to need him to be the guy down the stretch and into these playoffs. So he is going to be such an important piece to this team going forward.
That he is, and he's getting ready to head to the mound. Just a short delay here as our teams meet pregame and get ready to take the field. It is host family appreciation night here at McKeon Park, so all of the host families, which really make this league go and make this league work, we're on the field in honor today for their work, for hosting these ball players throughout the summer. As we know, the Harbor Hawk team wearing their home white on whites today with the blue caps. Orleans visiting in the red uniforms on the road. Orleans has some of the sharpest uniforms in the league, I'd say.
Yeah, and Orleans, you know, you don't see that many teams in this league using red as a primary color. Orleans does, and they've made it one of the more iconic looks on Cape Cod. But just the circumstances for this game are really exciting. Two teams that both have a lot to play for in very different manners. Hyannis coming in, they're playing for where they're going to set up in the big dance that starts next Thursday. Orleans is just playing to get in that front door.
Yeah, the East Division, where Orleans is positioned much weaker record-wise in the West, in which the Harbor Hawks hold first place. 3 teams in the West Division over 20 wins on the year. In the East Division, where Orleans is just one team YD over the 20 wins, as the Harbor Hawks take the field. We mentioned the defensive alignment. George Corona, the catcher tonight behind the plate, joined the Harbor Hawks midseason. They had Jacob Campbell, the standout catcher from Illinois. Campbell heads off to the MLB draft, signs with the San Diego Padres. So now you're down to Pancho Ruiz. So Corona, teammates with Cole McConnell, Phil Matulia, as well as who was a coach, Jonathan Fincher. But I was going to say Pablo Ortiz, who's one of the Hawks' assistant coaches, who was at LA Tech, now heading to Colorado, Northern Colorado, to be an assistant there. So the connection is clear with Corona. They pick him up midseason. He steps in. He's done a fine job behind the dish.
Well, he saved a game a couple weeks ago with a block at the plate, so his defense has been quite good. But you would like to see his power. He hit 16 bombs at Louisiana Tech this spring. You'd really like to see that get going. He's had, you know, the requisite wood-bat adjustment. I think it's right around time where you can start saying George Corona's due for a tank.
Yeah, we'll see how that plays out tonight, of course. The Hyannis offense has been hot. Last night, 7 runs against the Catuit Kettleers as they held the Cats to just 3 here at McKeon Park and took back first place as the defense tonight gets warm, as Magdiel Cotto will take his warm-up tosses. And leading off tonight for the Orleans Firebirds, we just went through the lineup, but he's the guy you have to highlight by the name of Luke Kiesel. He's an absolute beast. He smacked the ball around at San Fran in 2022, 305 batting average at San Fran, but a 445 on-base percentage. He struck out only 34 times, walked 37 there. And to have a guy like that with more walks and strikeouts at a big D1 school, Luke Kiesel is a future major leaguer.
Oh, absolutely. And he and Travis Honeyman, who's no longer with the Firebirds, they were that big 1-2 punch for Orleans, and Kiesel is going to have to step up and really be the guy down the stretch for Orleans. Hey, they're coming into this having 1-2 straight in a West Division or an East Division that really is in need of separation. Chatham is right behind both Orleans and Harwich, only 1 game back for that last spot in the East. So I think we're going to come out and see a hungry, determined Orleans team. Meanwhile, on the other hand, Hyannis is looking to keep the good times rolling and maybe get a little distance between them and both Bourne and Catuit.
So Luke Kiesel begins the proceedings as he'll stand in from the right-handed batter's box. The lefty Magdiel Cotto from Kentucky comes set, and we're ready to go here at McKeon Park. It's time to play the baseball. Cotto, the big left-hander from the windup. First pitch of the night is away. It's a fastball hit on the ground to short. There's Mitch Jebb. He charges in. The throw to first is in time. 1 pitch, 1 out, and it doesn't get much easier than that.
Well, after, the Wednesday nightmare where you had 6 errors, you hold your breath a little bit to see, how this team's going to start out. That's a nice play by Mitch Jebb. And already, after yesterday, clean game in the field, looking to keep that momentum. That off day did this team wonders.
That brings up J.D. Urso, who's hitting 200 on the year. Hasn't had a full season of work with the Firebirds as the first pitch misses high. Just 40 at-bats, 8 for 40. He has 8 strikeouts, just 2 walks. It's quite the adjustment. It only gets harder, Zach, if you join the team mid-year like a guy like Urso did.
That would definitely be the case, and I did see J.D. Urso before the game chatting it up with his fellow University of Tampa infielder Drew Earhart, who they've spent the last few seasons down there with the University of Tampa baseball program. I believe that nickname is the Spartans.
The 2-0 is lined to left field. It's going to be a soft hit single as Christian Moore fields it. So J.D. Urso is aboard with 1 down, and the Firebirds have some action on the base paths.
Yeah, whatever that Tampa baseball program's doing, they're doing something right. They've really put together, whenever you have a small school sending several players to the Cape Cod Baseball League, you're doing something right. Nice piece of hitting there by Urso. Tampa went 44-13 this past season.
That brings up Cam Jones, the dominant right-handed hitter, the only way to put it, hitting .343 through 67 at-bats this year. Cam Jones is a pure hitter, and he's really filled the void that Travis Honeyman left on this Orleans roster.
Absolutely, and you see he's got a bit of that wide right-hand stance, and it seems that Kelly Nicholson has gone with a righty-heavy lineup and to face the big lefty in Kodo, but, a couple seasons at Georgia State, Cam Jones has really been that guy, and he can pitch, too.
Yeah, so Cam Jones in the 3 spot today. He'll be followed up by Isaac Humphrey. Man off of first is Urso. Kodo comes set, 0-1 the count. Here's the pitch. Inside, high chopper to third. Earhart charges in. He'll go to second for 1. That's all the Hawks will get, but they do take care of the lead runner.
Still a nice play there by Drew Earhart, who's starting to assimilate to this Cape Cod lifestyle. Nice job charging it, not rushing the throw. He knew he had time to get the ball over to Riku and did it just in time.
That brings up Isaac Humphrey. As we mentioned, he's reached base safely in 26 straight contests. A .270 batting average, 27 for 100. He's hit the 100 mark on at-bats on the season. He's only walked 9 times to 31 punch-outs, and doesn't get much tougher as a left-handed hitter when you have to face Magdil Kodo coming from the left side at up to 96. Kodo takes a glance over at first, now brings home the first pitch. Maybe a called strike, 0-1.
These two players both play for the premier schools baseball programs in the state of Kentucky. I'm sure between Louisville and UK, you can imagine that Humphrey and Kodo have faced off against each other once or twice during the spring.
Here's the 0-1 away. It's a breaking ball. Tried to shoot the outside corner just a bit low. 1-1 the count now to Humphrey.
I mean, the stats jump off the eye for you for Humphrey. He walked 41 times this spring at Louisville, 5 homers, 38 RBIs. So this guy is a hitting machine.
The business economics major stands in the left-handed batter's box, watches a called strike. Now Humphrey's behind 1-2. He chose to go to Louisville over Evansville, FGCU, Western Kentucky, and Kentucky. Following his baseball career as a player, he'd love to be a coach as well. For now, he's more focused on this 1-2 count against Kodo. Magdil comes set. 2 down here in the top of the first inning. Here comes the pitch. Runner starts and stops from second. It's at the feet of George Corona. And he'll pick it up and toss it back as the count moves to 2-2.
Always a funny little, coincidence at Louisville. They're the Cardinals. Orleans used to be the Cardinals. Changed their name to the Firebirds in the early 2010s. So he's gone from one team named after a red bird to another.
Yeah. If you have ever been to Eldridge Park, you may notice they have a man who wears a red bird costume that walks around the stands throughout the game. Not their official mascot, that one's fouled off, but he's at every single home game and very friendly with the fans there.
I grew up, my grandparents had a house in Orleans as a kid, and the only Cape League games I went to growing up were Firebirds games. Or at the time, they were still the Cardinals, but that man, or maybe it wasn't exactly him, but someone was wearing that costume. That actually whoever is wearing the Orleans Red Bird costume, my first memory as a kid growing up of the Cape Cod Baseball League.
Here's the 2-2 to Humphrey. He swings and misses. Cotto gets him on the off-speed pitch to end the inning. The Firebirds strand a run. The Hawks, the hottest team in Cape Cod, are coming up to bat, and leading it off will be the hottest man on Cape Cod, Mitch Jebb, and his .346 batting average when we return on the Harbor Hawks Baseball Network.
Tastes like a Coke.
We nailed it!
Coke Zero Sugar.
Have they nailed it?
Sounds like they really nailed it, huh?
Nailed it.
And that's when you said, so it really tastes like a Coke.
Yeah, that's the point.
When it comes to buying or selling a home, you need a partner, not just an agent. For over 50 years, Gibson Sotheby's International Realty has set the standard in excellence and performance. A seasoned team that has thrived throughout all markets. Our agents live and work in your neighborhood and understand you. We are over 170 agents strong, backed by an in-house marketing team and global reach that is second to none.
From studios to penthouses, purchasing to renting, our team provides unparalleled real estate services.
If you live here, fun is your thing. If you live here, tough is your thing. Smart is your thing. Caring is your thing. If you live in Massachusetts, community is your thing. Since 1972, the Massachusetts State Lottery has provided over $25 billion to help cities and towns with the things they need most. If you live here, giving is your thing.
Welcome back to the Harbor Hawks Baseball Network, and the Harbor Hawks are getting ready to come to the plate here as we take a look at the Hyannis. Starting lineup leading off tonight for the Hawks is the man that we mentioned, Mitch Jebb, .346 batting average. He's over at shortstop tonight. He's been leading this team. 9 of his last 10 plate appearances he's gotten on base. In the 2-hole, Mike Sirota, the former Whitecap, hitting .380 in Hyannis. Cole McConnell DHing tonight. And in the 3-hole, Nolan Shonowell moves up to the cleanup spot. Drew Earhart batting 5th, followed by Christian Moore, the Tennessee outfielder. George Corona, the catcher, batting 7th. Caleb Spur batting 8th and playing center field. And Riku Nishida, another 2022 CCBL All-Star, in the 9-hole. And Zach, it is incredibly rare to see a team at this point in the season have an All-Star in their 9 spot.
This lineup is absurdly deep, and Riku Nishida, we've mentioned, he's more or less a double leadoff hitter, and he was strategically placed in the 9-hole early in the season. Some of us question, why is he there when he gets on base so often? And then you add Mitch Jebb to the equation, and the picture becomes a lot more clear. Look, 2 homers, 22 RBIs, both those homers coming within the last 2 games. What more is there to say about Mitch Jebb that we have not already said?
The starter tonight for the Firebirds is the left-hander Ben Shields from Boston, Massachusetts. So a local guy. He's got 23 2/3 innings pitched on the season. His hits are where he's at his best. Just 15 hits allowed, 9 earned runs to go along with 21 strikeouts. Strikeout numbers are about where you want them. 91 on his first pitch. As Jebb serves that one to center field, it gets down for a base hit. And Mitch Jebb continues to get base hits. How do you get this guy out?
At some point, you just got to put 4 fingers in the air and say, we can't pitch to this guy right now. 10 times in his last 11 plate appearances, Mitch Jebb has gotten on base. He is doing things that nobody in a Hyannis Harbor Hawk uniform has done in a long time.
Well, here comes a guy who is doing things as well. That'd be Mike Sirota, who's hitting .380 on the season. He's already up to 50 at-bats in Hyannis, 14 runs batted in. He's top 3 in the team in that category as well. And the thing is, Mike Sirota's only been here about 3 weeks, if that. First pitch, a called strike from Shields. He sits about 90 to 92 on his fastball. We saw 91 right there from the left-hander.
What's so interesting is that Shields' baseball journey, Shields is 23, so he's been around this game for a while. He actually pitched in Harwich in 2018.
Wow.
He was a Harwich Mariner in 2018.
That was, what, 4 or 5 seasons ago?
4 seasons ago. Then he did 2 seasons at UMass and transferred to George Mason, stayed in the Atlantic 10, and now back on Cape once more.
Pitches high and inside to Sirota. Ben Shields on the mound, not to be confused with Ben Shields, who was a left-handed pitcher for the Red Sox, Yankees, and Phillies back in 1924. So a little bit of a different guy on the mound today, but same name, both throw left-handed.
See, when I think Shields and pitching, I think of James Shields.
He had a good curveball.
And he was traded for Fernando Tatis Jr.
That's unfortunately what he's going to be remembered for, but he was a reliable starter for a while, as is the man of the mound, Ben Shields. Mitch Jebb off of first, and he's also second in the league in stolen bases, just behind Riku Nishida, who happens to be on the Harbor Hawks as well. 1-1 the count to Mike Sirota. He lines it foul, and Sirota's behind at the count 1-2.
For a team that steals a lot, and the Harbor Hawks have 4 guys in double digits for stolen bases, the gap between 2 and 3, Mitch Jebb is 21. The guy in third place is Dom Patelli, who's going to join the team in the next few days, 11.
Yeah, Patelli's had a couple of days off. He'll be back in the lineup shortly. 1-2 the count to Sirota. Jebb off of first. That pitch high and outside. Back pick to first. Jebb's back in safely as the count moves to 2-2. Great camera view right there from our very own Mike Maynard, best cameraman in the Cape Cod Baseball League.
This man has been the unsung MVP of this broadcast crew the entire summer. Mike Maynard, get to know the name because he's an absolute camera work wizard.
Here comes the 2-2 from Shields to Sirota. Inside, just missed. 3-2.
There's that plate discipline from Mike Sirota. Yes, his strikeout numbers are up a little bit from what they were at Northeastern this spring, but Mike Sirota is the kind of guy that is not going to swing at anything unless he loves the pitch and knows he can do something with it. He knew he didn't have the option there, so he waited it out.
Full count now as Shields brings home the pitch to Sirota. He goes up after a fastball comes up empty as Sirota's down swinging for out number 1.
That's a good high outside fastball that was just inside the strike zone from Shields. Sirota only could get a little bit on it. Foul tipped it into the glove of Garrett Gilmet, but up steps Cole McConnell, who has a night off from playing the field, but down his bat takes the day off as well.
3 homers, 20 runs batted in, and he's hitting .274 on the year. McConnell has been a mainstay of this lineup since very early on in the season. We've seen him in a variety of roles. He's been towards the 6 or 7 spot. Then as his bat heated up, he hit cleanup for a while, as he did at LA Tech, now firmly asserted in the 3-hole. Jebb still off at first, another pickoff move. Mitch is back in standing. 1 down here in the bottom of the first inning. If you're just joining us, Austin Nakuda, Zach Berman welcoming you as you get a beautiful shot of Judy Walden's Scarefile Field at McKeon Park, where the Firebirds and Hawks are still scoreless here in the bottom of the first. Jebb a big lead off first, now heads back a bit. He's off on the pitch. Breaking ball's a called strike. The throw to second is in time. They get Mitch Jebb trying to swipe second base, and that's going to be out number 2.
That was perfectly played, not just by Ben Shields, but by Garrett Gilmet as well. That is a great throw, and that's a designed play. They were looking for that pitch, and Garrett Gilmet guns out one of the hardest base runners in the league to throw out.
McConnell behind 0-1 after the breaking ball found the zone. Fastball does the same thing, 0-2 to Cole. Cole McConnell. Strikeout numbers have been a bit high. He's struck out 34 times here in the Cape League. It's been the outside fastball that he's had some trouble catching up to. We'll see where Shields goes on 0-2. The pitch, a breaking ball. McConnell skies it pretty well to center field. Ranging back is Humphrey. He'll camp out under it, make the catch to end the inning. The Hawks get their leadoff man aboard, but he gets caught stealing, and they end up going down in order to end the first inning, scoreless at McKeon Park.
Hey, Mama, what's up?
Did you switch my service from Verizon to T-Mobile?
Yep. T-Mobile has the only nationwide 5G.
Well, Mr. Know-It-All, let's see if you right about that.
Mama. Hey, Mama, I'm working.
It works at the pie shop.
T-Mobile's 5G works inside and out. Hey, what you need, Mama? I'm trying to watch the game with my boys.
It works in the park.
Oh, okay. Mama?
It works at the aquarium, in the parking garage, at the beach, in the elevators. It works in the movie theater, too. Oh, shush yourself. I'm talking to my baby.
You're driving me crazy.
I was just calling you to say thank you, baby. I love you.
I love you too, Mama. Yes, Mama.
It works in the kitchen.
Tell Mama.
Mama?
5G, it works in the club.
Who are you in a club with?
All about it. Tell Mama.
No runs, 1 hit, no errors for each of these teams as we're through 1 complete inning so far at Judy Walden Scarefile Field. Austin Akuta and Zach Berman here on a picture-perfect night for baseball. Zach, not a cloud in the sky. A little bit of wind, but what beautiful weather we have for a Magdiel Cotto start.
Well, you know, we just had the heat wave that got out of the way. It really, man, in Hartford, it was miserable. But since then, the weather's gotten nicer little by little, day by day. Gorgeous night for baseball. We didn't really get to talk about it. Magdiel Cotto looked crisp in that first inning.
The Mag will return to the mound here as he finishes up his warm-up tosses. He'll have to deal with Jack Bolger, followed by Drew Metzdorf and Garrett Gilmet. So Bolger, the Vanderbilt catcher, doesn't wear batting gloves typically. He's got some tape on the hand tonight. Wonder if that wood bat's starting to give him some blisters. But typically, trademark look of no batting gloves as he comes up here. Really good defensive catcher. The bat's pretty good as well. Tonight he's in left field, shows some versatility. As he did at Vanderbilt all season, Cotto from the left side brings home the first pitch to Bolger. He half swings. They're going to check and say, yes, he did go around, as 93 on that one has Bolger behind 0-1.
Well, Bolger played mostly left field, center field in 2021 for the Commodores. This spring, though, only caught for Vanderbilt. So he's going back to a position that he hasn't played in almost a year.
0-2 now the count, and he was really good at Vanderbilt. We saw a lot of videos on him surfacing on Twitter for his catching at Vanderbilt. Of course, when you have a staff of a lot of very talented pitchers, as Vanderbilt's known for, the catchers are going to get a lot of attention, and he did a terrific job in doing so.
Yeah, Tim Corbin does put such a high emphasis on catching, because when you get all that talent, you know, your Jack Leiders, your Kumar Rockers through that program, it really, as important as a pitcher is, the guy that's catching him, guy that's calling those pitches, just as, if not more important. So Jack Bolger, to be able to catch 37 games for Vandy in the spring, says a lot about him.
Counts now 2-2 as Cotto ramps it up to 95 on that fastball.
Hello, Magdiel Cotto.
Well, it also probably says something about Garrett Gilmet here in Orleans to have him behind the plate tonight with Bolger out in left. Both really, really good defensive catchers, and we saw Gilmet gun down Mitch Jebb trying to steal in the last inning. The 2-2 popped foul.
Yeah, Gilmet is one of the best pure defensive catchers in the Cape Cod Baseball League, and we saw him early this season. You know, this is the first time Orleans has come here since opening weekend. They were the opponents for the Harbor Hawks home opener.
Right, yeah, and the Hawks won that game, what, 3-0?
3-0.
All the way back on
Ty
June
Good.
13th, maybe?
Ty Good threw a shutout in that game.
2-2, a weak slapped line drive to right field. It's going to curve off towards the corner. Bolger's got one. He's thinking two. Sirota has trouble picking it up. And Jack Bolger's got himself a leadoff double to begin things here in the top of the second.
That's just a good piece of hitting by Jack Bolger. He got the pitch he liked. It was that breaking ball. Doesn't try and do too much with it. Little slap hit down the right field side. Winds up giving Mike Sirota a bit of a headache. And the Harbor Hawks already got a runner to contend with on second base.
That'll bring up Drew Metzdorf. And Drew Metzdorf has been off to quite the start here in the Cape Cod Baseball League. 8 for his first 17. Good for a .471 batting average. And an even better story, he's from Falmouth, Massachusetts, so from Cape Cod. First pitch to Metzdorf, called strike on the outside corner.
Well, we've talked so much. We talked about it yesterday. When guys start to leave, when guys hit their innings limits, or guys just have their schools ask, can you go home? It's up to these local players to really fill that void, and Metzdorf, like, you know, a Caleb Spur, has really come along and asserted himself into this lineup at a big time.
It does so here as he slaps it out to center field for a base hit. Spur plays it on a couple of hops, and they'll hold the runner at third in Bolger. So the Firebirds now with runners on the corners and still nobody out here in the top of the second inning.
So now you're in a tough spot. You got 2 on, nobody out, and Metzdorf, again, this guy has really come onto the scene and impressed. He played 38 games with Pittsfield in this summer, and how often have we mentioned the Futures League, the NECBL? They're almost like AAA for the Cape being the major leagues.
They use the wood bats in the FCBL too, so there's no real metal to wood bat adjustment that those guys are suffering. Obviously, the pitching here in the Cape just a step up. So that brings up Garrett Gilmet, nobody out, runners on the corners. Firebirds are threatening. Kodo from the set now. Here comes the pitch. Fouled off, 0-1. And the Hawks not going to bring the infield in. They're going to try to turn two. Guillemette, not the quickest base runner because he's a catcher. We'll see what the Hawks can do here. Ideally, Zach, you're trading 2 for 1.
Yeah, that's a definite trade-off you make early in the second inning. And Guillemette, he's played 23 games defensively. He's been fantastic, but he's only hitting right at the Mendoza line right now.
Here's the ground ball to short. Jeb onto second for 1. The throw to first. You can't cue it up much better than that. They trade 2 for 1 as a double play retires the first 2 of the inning. But the Firebirds do strike first on the RBI ground out by Garrett Guillemette.
Well, you take that 10 times out of 10, and that's what you get for having such a solid middle infield. Jeb to Nishida to Shadowell, and it doesn't get much easier than that for the Harbor Hawks infield.
Bases are now empty as Kodo can go back from the windup to face Tommy Hopefee. First pitch of the night to Hopefee is a ball in the dirt. He's 1 for his first 17. From Bakersfield, California, the right-handed hitter looking to pick things up as his bat hasn't been the hottest. Here's the windup in the 1-0. Fouled off the mid of Corona. 1-1 the count evens up.
Tommy Hopefee out of Fresno State. He's actually he's a multi-position player. He pitched a couple times. He's pitched 4 games for Orleans this summer, in addition to playing in right field.
How big is that to have a guy who can do both?
And he's got an ERA of 3.32.
That's not bad at all. The 1-1 from Kodo misses outside. And with the roster spots here in the league being so limited, you can't really have that many pitchers where you can, afford to have less guys on the bench because everyone needs an off day in the lineup too. Playing 6 games in a row as the 2-1s fouled off. So having a guy who can do both is incredibly useful because when you need a guy that can throw you an inning maybe in a blowout or you're up big and he can give you a clean inning, or if somebody needs a day off in the field, one guy can do it both.
I think he's a little bit bigger than just your blowout arm. 22 strikeouts to 4 walks at 21 2/3. Goodness gracious.
Here comes the 2-2. Ground ball to second. Riku Nishida charges in, throws on to first to end the inning. So the Firebirds do scratch across a run on an RBI ground out by Garrett Guillemette, but Magdil Kodo bears down, gets a double play, and another ground out to end the inning. And before we begin the bottom of the second inning, we're going to send it over to our sideline reporter, Bria Lawson.
Sheer helping out in the dugout. Well, why did you decide to come back?
I mean, it's an amazing place here. I mean, it's just a summer home for me here. This is summer family. I mean, I love these people here. It's really what makes the team so great.
As a GM intern, what does that look like for everyday duties?
So every day I create scouting reports on the opposing team and relay the information to players and coaches.
So since you know the team inside and out, what do you think the Hawks can do in the postseason?
I mean, let's just say this. We got a lot of guys that got that dog in them. I'm looking for a deep run. I'm a little nervous, a good energy nervous, but I can't wait.
All right, you heard it here first from Will Schiffman, our GM intern. Back to you guys.
Thank you very much, as always, Bria, and thank you to Will Schiffman for joining us for the sideline interview here in between the second inning. And Will's been an incredibly important part to the baseball operations department here in Hyannis, led by Mazdak Darvari and the crew, which have helped make this team a first-place team and a championship contender.
Hey, hats off to guys that brought playoff baseball back to Hyannis for the first time since 2018. You know, before the game, ran into Will wearing the Ozzy the Harbor Hawk hat costume up here in the press box. Honestly, startled me for a little bit.
Nolan Shonowell, the first baseman, will step up now. The cleanup hitter today, Shonowell has shown some of the best approach at the plate out of anybody in the entire Cape Cod Baseball League. He has 22 walks to 20 strikeouts. That's incredibly impressive, and it's garnered national attention from people on Twitter, such as Jeff Ponce, the Baseball America writer down here covering the Cape Cod Baseball League. Inside to Shonowell, he doesn't chase pitches. He rarely goes out of the zone, and when he makes contact, it is hard hit. The 209 batting average posted by Shonowell is incredibly deceiving because he is a much better hitter than that. But teams attack him. They bring in left-handers. And they really focus their game plan around limiting Nolan Shonowell because of how dangerous that bat is.
And what do you know? They're already down 2-0.
Yeah, he gets nothing to hit. We saw it last night against Katuitt, Zach. They just pitched around him in most of his ABs. We're seeing it again here. Ben Shields back on the mound for his second inning of work, and Shonowell already ahead 2-0. Shields gets the signs from Gilmet. The windup now, the 2-0. Shonowell rips it up the middle to short. Fielded on the ground there by McLaury. Throw to first is in time as Shonowell is retired for out number 1. 6-3 on the putout.
Still, like you mentioned, hard contact. That 209 average deceiving, but a good play by the shortstop Nick McCleary for Orleans. That's not a tough base runner to get out. I'm tripping over myself right now, folks. One of those nights.
That brings up Drew Earhart, the third baseman, new addition to the Harbor Hawks just a couple of days ago. 2 for his first 10 with 3 walks. He's getting on base at a decent clip. Behind 0-1 here as he checks his swing but went around. Earhart, another one of those Tampa connections that the Harbor Hawks have started to bring in. Coach Beatty, of course, lots of ties down to Tampa. Comes the windup from Shields, the 0-1 on its way. Breaking ball, it finds a part of the zone on the inside corner, 0-2 now.
Yeah, Drew Earhart has been pretty great this past season as a freshman. He was second team All-Sunshine State Conference and only struck out 17 times in 221 plate appearances. That's one of those things that this front office probably caught their eye.
Grounds that one foul. Stay alive. Another new first base coach for the Hawks tonight down that first base line. That's Austin Strickland over there. I think he may have been there last night as well. The Harbor Hawks, of course, rotating different players coaching first base. Not a big storyline for some teams to do it regularly, but the Hawks did have assistant coach Pablo Ortiz over coaching first for a bulk of the year. But Pablo has accepted a job as the assistant baseball coach up at Northern Colorado. Big congrats to Pablo and good luck up there. As that one misses high and outside, 1-2 the count.
Strick is going up there with Phil Matulia as one of the most versatile Hyannis Harbor Hawks we've seen. He can coach first base, he can pitch out of the bullpen, he can start, he can sing the national anthem.
I wasn't here for that, but how was it?
It was good.
Here comes the windup, the 1-2 to Earhart. Called strike 3. Earhart jumps out of the way, but it finds the inside part of the plate, and he's down looking for out number 2.
Yeah, it's a good frame job there by Gilmet. He has really impressed behind the plate. Good fastball as well. But, you know, we've seen so much good catching play this league this season. And Garrett Gilmet, just another name to add to that list.
That brings up Christian Moore, SEMO from Tennessee. Batting 182 on the year. Has played some second base, left field, and right field. A little bit of third base. At times, that one's in the dirt and low. 1-0 the count to Christian. Moore, pretty versatile player. Heading back to Tennessee in just a few weeks from now, he's going to be a mainstay of their everyday lineup. Somebody that scouts are very excited to see what he does as he heads back as a volunteer. Shields gets the signs from Gilmet. Here's the 1-0. Moore checks his swing, grounds it foul. The count will even up. And for Christian Moore, he got to learn from some of the best in the nation, including Jordan Beck. He talked about the late nights hitting at the field with Beck and his teammates, getting those late night rounds of batting practice in with those guys, and they've helped him become a better hitter, and they've given him lots of advice along the way, reminding Christian to show some personality, don't forget to be himself, and you'll see some of that flair in Christian's game as he plays here tonight. Here comes the 1-1 from Shields, misses low. Count moves to 2 balls and 1 strike.
Yeah, that Vols team had a ton of flair. Drew Gilbert was drafted by the Astros in the first round. One of the most entertaining players you will come across in college baseball.
Yeah, Gilbert, Jordan Beck. I know Beck was a former Harwich Mariner.
Trey Lipscomb.
A lot of draftees that played in the Cape League also happened to play for Tennessee. Here comes the 2-1 to Christian Moore. He rips that one down the left field line. Some loud contact, but it goes foul. Count will even up at 2-2.
You get the feeling that the Harbor Hawks are seeing Shields well. This strikes me as a kind of guy that second time through the order the Harbor Hawks might get to.
You see that a lot down here in the Cape League. It's the first time through, the first couple innings, there's not a lot of runs posted, but somewhere in the middle as some of the teams start to piece together hits, make the starter uncomfortable. We'll see how that plays with Shields. Here comes the windup, the 2-2. Breaking ball high and outside. Count moves to 3-2. Firebirds up 1. They scored in the top of the second inning thanks to an RBI ground out from the catcher Garrett Gilmet. Hawks looking to respond here with more in a full count with 2 down. Nobody on. Long pause from Shields as the lefty gets the sign. Shows the glove up high. Now goes into the windup. Here comes the payoff pitch. Moore fouls it back, stays alive, and Christian Moore, although the batting average isn't quite up there, he's put together some really strong at-bats, and he's had some big hits as of late. You think of the 2 RBI hit in Hartford when the Hawks traveled to Dunkin' Donuts Park to play at the Double-A Stadium for the Colorado Rockies, where the Hartford Yard Goats call home. The Hawks headed there, played the YD Red Sox about 10 days ago or so in that big league stadium. The players had a great time, and that was one of Christian's best games.
Yeah, how in the world was that only 10 days ago?
Time flies here. Playoffs are right around the corner. Here's the 3-2 once more. He checks his swing. They'll say he went without checking down to first base. And the umpires take control once again as that ends the second inning and Christian Moore heads back to the dugout. Hawks go down in order as we head to the top of the third on the Harbor Hawks Baseball Network.
We all have obstacles, challenges at different points in life. I still push myself every single day, and the harder I push myself, the more I find myself drawn to wearing UFOs. The first time I put on a pair of UFOs, it was like someone released the pressure. It was so crazy. When you are recovered and can do more, that has a compounding effect on all aspects of your life. Stepping into a pair of UFOs, they're truly one of a kind. There's nothing like them.
Best ever? Good question. Wait, why do you sound like Dr. J in your head? I've always sounded like Dr. J in my head, which means Dr. J's outside voice sounds like my inside voice? Which Coke? The doc would know. He got the world to call him doctor without going to med school. There's only one best ever.
Top of the third inning, moments ready to go. Moments away from beginning, I should say, here at McKeon Park. Austin Nakuda, Zach Berman back on the broadcast booth as Magdiel Cotto returns to the mound. And in just a moment, we'll be joined by a very special guest here in the booth. We'll tell you about him in just a second as Magdiel gets ready to finish up his warm-up toss. As Mag is through 2 innings. He's allowed 3 hits, 1 run, hasn't walked anybody. Has also struck out 1 batter so far, but Ben Shields has been great for Orleans. 2 innings of 1-hit baseball for their left-hander in today's Battle of the Southpaws. As Cotto will finish up his warm-up tosses. The Hawks have had a couple of base runners. We had the leadoff single by Mitch Jebb, but he was caught stealing thanks to Garrett Gilmet. So Cotto will finish his warm-up tosses, and now we're going to welcome in a very special guest into the broadcast booth, Mr. Sam Prince. Welcome to Hyannis.
Thank you for having me, Hyannis, Hawks, Austin, Zach.
And off for the Firebirds, the shortstop from Arizona.
Hey, it was a good first pitch, you know, on a scale of 1 to... Earlier this season, we had Red Sox podcast host Steve Peralt threw out the first pitch, and with all due respect, it was on the level of 50 Cent when he threw out the first pitch at Citi Field. We can get that first pitch up for you pretty soon, but you know, it was pretty good, all things considered.
First pitch of the inning, lined over to short. Jebb backhand. It's going to be a tough play. The throw by Mitch Jebb is not in time. Nick McGlory legs it out to lead off the inning thanks to an infield single. And Sam, you got to throw out the first pitch today. We actually have a video of today's first pitch. Let's take a look at it. And Sam, it was a pretty good one. We saw Steve Peralt sail it when he did his first pitch, but yours was much better. You pumped up the crowd beforehand. Everybody was on their feet. And you delivered a strike to George Athanasiadis, our catcher, as he's known as George Apple Banana. He just happened to whiff on it, and it goes through the legs, but not a bad first pitch, Sam.
Pretty good.
You know, guys, I thought that was a ball for a second, a really bad throw on my part because he dropped it, but I didn't realize it was actually a strike, so it's a much better pitch than I thought it was going to come out.
What you got to learn is anything is a strike on the Cape Cod League if you close your eyes and look hard enough.
First pitch by Coder to Luke Keishel's a called strike. He's behind 0-1. So, Sam, you've had quite the journey now up to this point with Hyannis. One of those stops along the way, you announced the pick for the Giants at the NFL Draft. Was that correct?
Yes, that is correct. It's still crazy that I even did that.
So what was that experience like, getting to be there and announce that first-round pick?
Well, Austin, I felt like I was on cloud 9. It was truly a dream come true.
I went to line to center field. Spurs on the run. He's not going to get there as he dives. It gets by him. Sorota's there to back it up. Going to third is McLaury. He's going to be safe as he slides to third. Keishel holds up at first. So that puts runners on the corners once again with nobody out. Same way at the Firebirds started the top of the second inning. They repeated here in the top of the third.
You want to talk about a lucky bounce. Spur went for the dive and it missed his glove, but the ball bounced directly to Mike Sirota in right as opposed to going straight behind him. So even though there are runners in the corners right now, you almost feel as if that's not the worst outcome.
We'll have to deal with a two-hitter. J.D. Urso now is 1 for 1.
Nah, Sam, I was in Vegas working the draft in a completely different, I was working down there for U Stadium at the time, and I remember the next morning we woke up and two of us were walking around the floor of whatever casino we were staying at, and people in I remember it's a guy in a Minnesota Vikings jersey comes over and says, "Sam, can I get your picture?" And they looks at me and goes, "Are you his brother? Are you also part of the Prince family?" And I was like, well, no, but also, look, Sam and I have gone back a long time. Our mothers are very close. I've known Sam since he was maybe about yay high, so.
Well, Zach, that was a crazy day. So many people are still coming out to me. Are you the kid from the draft? Are you the kid from the draft?
It's a called strike, 0-2, and you're a big Giants fan, Sam. So what's that been like? I know the last couple of years, obviously not as successful as you guys might like. I think, Mr. Berman, you're a Giants fan as well.
Unfortunately so.
But, Sam, for you, getting to be a part of the Giants Nation, what's that like for you?
Unfortunately, we're the best fans in the world.
Yes, that is also true.
Okay, guys, the Giants, last couple of years, they were bad, to say the least. Every Giants fan knows that, and it's ingrained in our minds. But these next couple of years are going to be really good. It's going to be a slow process, but we're going to be good in a couple of years. Trust me on that one.
Hey, I'm going to take your word. Joe Shane, Brian Dayball, really the brain trust, I'm not sure where that ball missed, of this Giants rebuild. And I just want you to talk me through it because you were recently featured on SportsCenter's My Wish segment. And a couple of years back, you had a full heart transplant. And for the Make-A-Wish, you were originally supposed to announce the pick in 2020 in Cleveland, and COVID actually canceled that.
Owens hit up the middle. Jeb has a chance at 2. He steps on second for 1. The throw to first in time. Another double play. Well, Zach and Sam, the last 2 innings have been identical. Well, a couple of leadoff singles, runners on the corners, but 2 double plays and another run scores. Orleans up 2-0. But back to your question, Zach, Sam.
Well, you got called into one Giants drive. You got called into Team HQ. And you were surprised by Eli Manning, GM Brian Dayball, or GM Joe Shane, head coach Brian Dayball, and they caught you all on camera. And, you weren't expecting that moment to happen. What was going through your mind when you found out, oh my goodness, I'm going to Vegas and announcing the 5th overall pick?
I was saying, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. I was like,
you were.
Oh my goodness, I can't even believe that happened. Again, I just want to thank the Giants organization for helping make this happen, my donor family, and of course, Make-A-Wish for this.
Do you know where I was? When I remember you called me that afternoon and told me what had happened. You know where I was?
Target?
I was in the freezer aisle at Target.
Were you getting anything good?
Honestly, I forget because I almost dropped my little shopping basket. I think people must have been looking at me. I was like, oh my god, Sam's going to the draft because you knew I was going to the draft, and I remember seeing you walk out on stage and thinking to myself, oh my. And I remember we had the discussion. I was your camp counselor last summer at Sports Broadcasting Camp outside of Philadelphia.
Shout out to SBC right there.
Actually, I visited them a couple days ago on my day off up in Boston, but we had the conversation. If the Giants are there and Kayvon Thibodeau is on the board, Giants got to be drafting Kayvon Thibodeau. And I saw the look in your eyes when you were handed the pick, and the guy says it's pronounced Thibodeau. You looked like you won $1 million.
Ground ball to short. Tough play for Jeb. Jump throw across the diamond. Gets by Shonowell. It's going to be a infield single for Cam Jones as he legs it out with 2 down.
What was that?
Yeah.
Do I have a bad poker face then?
I wouldn't say so.
Center fielder from Louisville.
We were both very excited for Kayvon.
I remember I got the text from down, in the media section at oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the name. What casino was it? It was at the Link. It was behind the Link in Vegas. And I got the text that the Giants were going to draft Evan Neal at 5. And I remember getting that same text about 5 minutes later. Scratch that. It's Neal at 7. Thibodeau. And I just immediately, I thought right to you. I said, oh my goodness.
Ground ball to second. Nishida flips on a first to end the inning. The Firebirds do scratch across the run, but more importantly, thank you, Sam, for joining us up here in the broadcast booth. Welcome to Hyannis. I hope you had a great time. We really appreciate you being here.
Of course, thank you guys for having me.
And thank you for throwing out a strike for first pitch tonight. We appreciate it. We'll take a break here on the Harbor Hawks Baseball Network, but once again, thank you and welcome to Hyannis, Sam Prince.
Diet Coke? Who are you, my mom?
You should be so lucky, because you know what moms do? Well, I suppose we should start with the whole giving you life thing. It seems like that should be enough. No? Okay. What about her ability to send shockwaves through the neighborhood without saying a word? Or whip up a ridiculous handmade costume that you forgot to tell her about? Not to make you happy, but because she had a reputation to uphold. She invented rideshare, called it carpool, and did it for free. She didn't need those dating apps either. You copied her jeans, her spin, her shoes, her scrunchie, and whether you realize it or not, her music.
Why not?
Oh, and she can win any argument in 4 words.
Because I said so.
Everything you're trying to do, she's already done it, did it better, and she did it with a Diet Coke in her hand. So, drink what your mama gave you.
Welcome back, and thank you once again to Sam Prince for joining us in the last half inning. Austin Akuta, Zach Berman back with you for the bottom of the third. The Hawks have some work to do now, chasing 2 runs. The Firebirds, in both of their top of the second and top of the third innings, it was a pair of runners on. It was on the corners, nobody out, and Magdiel Cotto pitched into 2 double plays to get 2 outs, but a run did score on both of them. But Cotto, Zach, has done a nice job at limiting the damage and getting double play balls tonight.
Look, I would prefer to not be down 2-zip, but if you're going to be down 2-zip in any way, shape, or form, that's probably the best way to go about it. And look, it's such a long game. You got a lot of innings to work with, a lot of outs to work with. This thing's far from over.
Plenty of baseball ahead. Hawks still looking for their first run. George Corona will stand in. We'll lead things off here in the bottom of the third. First pitch from Ben Shields is a called strike. Shields has been effective so far in his 2 innings. Hasn't needed a ton of pitches either. Just 27 total. 17 strikes, just 10 balls. 0-1 the count. Shields from the windup now to the right-handed hitter Corona. He watches another one go. This time it's a ball. 1-1 to the LA Tech power-hitting catcher. Corona had quite the spring, Zach, and it's his bat that originally caught the eye of the Harbor Hawks.
Yeah, 16 home runs, 62 RBIs in the spring at Louisiana Tech. He was fantastic, but we're still waiting to see that spark. I think he's due for a big boy tank sooner or later.
Won't be on this at-bat as it's grounded to third. Throw across the diamond by Metzdorf's in time for out number 1.
That's a good play there by Metzdorf, but once again, Harbor Hawks are getting contact out of the gate. I think that the second time they see Ben Shields through, they're going to get a lot more damage on the base paths.
Here comes Caleb Spur, the Endicott star. Spur watches the first pitch fastball go by. 1-0 the count.
Well, Spur and Drew Metzdorf, the third baseman for Orleans, just made that play. They both spent 30-plus games together as part of the FCBL and the Pittsfield Suns, so former teammates.
1-1 the count to Spur. Caleb Spur didn't waste any time getting off the ground in his Cape Cod League debut, which happened just 24 hours ago here at McKeon Park against the Katuitt Kettleers, and he was 2 for 4 in that game, a couple of base hits. He's now behind. Oh, that's a called ball, Zach. That looked For a second, like, the umpire raised his hand, but 2 on the count.
Like a good one, but hey, Spur's going to take that 10 times out of 10.
So, Caleb Spur, we talked about this with Eric Beatty before the game. He said, how big is it to have a guy come in and have 2 hits on his opening night? He said it was huge to have these guys pick up the production, and he said to help us win is what Caleb Spur did in yesterday's game. He was a really good glove in the outfield, a lot of speed, and to give the Hawks a chance to win, you don't see that often where a guy in their first day in the lineup gives your team a shot to win or at least contributes to the win as Spur did.
No, he was fantastic, and the easiest way to endear yourself to the Hawks faithful and just the organization is to help your team beat Katuitt.
Called strike 3. Ben Shields has the punch-out pitch working as he picks up his 4th strikeout of the night. It's that fastball with tail on it. The Harbor Hawks right-handed hitters keep bailing on it, but it's catching the plate as he goes down for out number 2 here at this bottom of the 3rd.
Yeah, we've seen more success for the lefties, and with a fastball that's got some tail on it, someone that I expect that's going to see the ball a little bit better here is Riku Nishida. Riku Nishida, a good game today, and he will be over 300.
Wow.
Batting average, 300.
Riku now up to 293 on the year. It's not shocking when you look at his Mount Hood Community College numbers, but there's always a question with how guys' community college or their JUCO numbers will translate to the Cape from the metal to wood bat, especially a guy like Nishida who doesn't have a lot of power. But he's transitioned without much difficulty. The 1-0 to Nishida misses outside. 2-0, Riku ahead in the count. Now, Nishida didn't have a single home run pretty much in his entire pro career. Still doesn't to this point. But last night, Zach, Riku Nishida steps up and rips a double, bat flips and watches it. So it's going off the bat, and you're thinking this thing might leave the yard. It did hit a banner as Riku hits that one back up the middle. Charging in, making the play in time is McLaury. To end the inning, the Hawks go down in order once again, as now retiring 9 in a row is Ben Shields. He's been on fire to start this ball game. We're heading to the 4th inning already on the Harbor Hawks Baseball Network.
What are you looking forward to? Adding a takeout window?
And more locations.
Paying off my student loans.
Juggling my 4 small businesses and staying sane.
Raising my allowance.
Finishing my painting and starting the next one.
Catching a keeper. Cashing anything.
Making the most of my retirement.
Checking my balance and hopefully having one.
Whatever you want for your family, your business, or your community, talk to us at Cape Cod 5 because we're looking forward to helping you. Coke Zero is now Coke Zero Sugar with great Coke taste. Some people were excited to hear the news. Some were skeptical. So we're not going to have the star of the show you're watching come out and say, "You'll love it." No special jingle written by this week's hottest pop star. No famous internet celebs who happen to be holding the label just so. Okay, maybe just one little pour shot. The only thing that will make you believe Coke Zero Sugar has great Coke taste is trying it yourself. Ice cold Coke Zero Sugar. Try one today.
Magdiel Cotto returns to the bump now for his 4th inning of work. He's allowed 2 earned runs thanks to a couple of base hits for the Firebirds that have led to runners coming across, as he's done a nice job of bearing down, turning double plays through his 3 innings. No action in the Harbor Hawk arm barn, so we'll see how far they stretch out Mag. He hasn't pitched or started in a couple of days now. He did make an appearance at the All-Star game back on last Saturday. A week ago today, Zach, was the last time he pitched. He threw 1 inning.
Yeah, Cotto looked good in that 1 inning in the All-Star game. The velo is way up, and other than 1 hit by pitch, he was just about sparkling.
Yeah. He plunk a guy in the helmet in that game? But then he bears down and gets the next out.
Right off the ear flap. I don't think it was a particularly hard-thrown ball, but the impact was hard enough on the helmet. Everybody was okay, where you could hear all of Spillane Field just kind of gasp and go, everybody was all good.
Mag's command is elite, too. He doesn't miss often, so it was shocking to see him plunk a guy. Luckily, everyone was fine. That brings up the left fielder today, Jack Bolger, who has a double and a run scored. He ripped it to right field, opposite way. He shot one down the line. That's what happens when Cotto jams you with a fastball like that, Zach. Sometimes you just get it on the handle and shoot it the other way.
I do have a good Magdiel Cotto story from pregame.
Okay.
So before the game, I was out, talking to Sam a little bit, introducing Mr. Prince to some of the... Oh, another one.
Well, I got a better story by the name of Jack Bolger, who's 2 for 2 off of the All-Star starter, Mag Cotto. But Zach, you were out there with Mag Kodo, and I heard him come up to you, and what did he say?
Mag Kodo looks at me and he goes, "Are you wearing cologne?" I'm like, "Yeah, I am." He goes, "Whatever you're wearing, I need more. You smell great. What is it that you're wearing?" And oh boy, I don't want to give away my secrets, but
Versace.
Yes, it is Versace cologne. And I said, "Hey, they sell it at Macy's, the mall. It's the best stuff on the planet." It's good stuff. I think I wore it to the draft that night too.
This is high and outside. 1-0 now the count to Drew Metzdorf, who's also 1 for 1 tonight. He's got a single, but was out on the bases on a double play the Harbor Hawks turned, so he didn't get much past first base.
Look, Orleans has 7 hits already. It's only the top of the 4th inning, but you have to feel like they have that, that vibe of we've left some opportunities out there.
1-1 the count to Metzdorf.
And again, you got runners in the corners twice, and you hit into 2 double plays.
Yeah.
Yes, you score those runs, but 7 hits already through only 3 innings.
You got to think the Hawks with just 1 hit, their offense has started to pick it up the last couple of nights. They're due for a big inning at some point here tonight, but the way Orleans is playing early on, their bats are scorching hot.
Well, you have a team in Orleans that is desperate. They know that they can't afford to lose many games down the stretch or they could miss out in the playoffs. So this is a crucial game for the Firebirds and their entire organization.
Kelly Nicholson, the manager of the Orleans Firebirds, one of the, I'd say he's probably league-wide favorite coaches. That one's grounded foul down the third base line. And he's the favorite coach amongst at least broadcasters because Kelly Nicholson every morning around, I think, 7 a.m., he tweets his lineup on Twitter, which helps us do our prep for the game in the day. So, Coach Nicholson, thank you for giving us some preparation. There are a couple times where, Zach, we haven't gotten lineups until 30 minutes before first pitch from other teams.
There was one in Wareham where we got a lineup 15 minutes before first pitch.
Yeah.
Then you got Kelly, wake up, you're making your coffee. Oh, look, there's your lineup tonight at Hyannis, 6 o'clock.
It's such a big help to have that lineup early on. The 2-2 popped up, right side of the infield. Shawnuel moves in, uses his hand to shade the sun. He dropped the ball. Shawnuel dropped the ball, and he'll just have to tag the runner, and he does that successfully for out number 1. So you don't see that very often. And they're just confirming. So the call will be that he did drop it. It wasn't on the transfer. Shawnuel drops the ball, but just tags the runner who was leading off of first, and that would have been Bolger. So he'll head back to the dugout on an interesting play.
Well, it winds up being inconsequential, and Shawnuel has been so good at first base defensively all season. You don't see him make that mistake often, and luckily it was a situation where it didn't wind up being much of a mistake at all, but looked like he was battling the sun the entire way through, and that sun's still pretty bright out there. It's only, what, 6:56?
They did not rule that. What did they rule that? Not a hit.
No, they didn't. They ruled that a hit?
Here comes the pitch to Metzdorf, or no, Gilmet, that is.
Okay, so it was ruled an infield fly, so the drop doesn't matter.
That can't be. It has to be first and second
yeah, it has
for an
to be
infield
first
fly.
and second, but apparently it's being ruled an infield fly. We have had so much discussion about the infield fly rule in this broadcast booth in the last, what, 3-4 days?
So I guess you can just call it a fielder's choice. That one's popped up, this time to shallow center field. Mitch Jebb calls for it. He makes the catch without much controversy for out number 2. Metzdorf will remain on first as Gilmet goes back to the dugout.
Well, after someone drops a pop-up, the next time that there's one hit up in the air, you just sort of collectively hold your breath because you never know. But this is such a strong fielding team, despite the madness and to it on Wednesday night. Still, the job that the Harbor Hawks have done to put that behind them to this point, it's really been impressive.
So that should be ruled a fielder's choice, going back to that pop-up. That one's outside. The runner's going a second. They got him. The tag by Nishida. He dropped the ball. Corona's throw was a little bit off the bag. Nishida couldn't scoop it out of the dirt. So Metzdorf steals second base safely, and the Firebirds got a man in scoring position with 2 down.
Yeah, Corona had the runner Metzdorf lined up perfectly and just threw it a little bit too far to the right of the second base bag, and Nishida had to do a little bit of an acrobatic motion, reach out and corral it, and just couldn't transfer the ball in time.
Tommy Hope back at the plate. He's 0 for 1 with a ground out tonight. As Metzdorf's off of second, first pitch he sees hit high to right field. Sirota's on the run. It's heading towards the corner, and Sirota makes the catch. Not only is Mike Sirota batting over 380 on the year, but he has one of the best gloves in the Cape Cod Baseball League, and his Gold Glove defense comes up big to end the inning. The Firebirds come up empty here in the top of the fourth. We head to the bottom half of the inning on the Harbor Hawks Baseball Network. And before we do, we'll toss it over to our sideline reporter, Bria Lossick.
Thank you so much, guys. I'm here alongside Alicia Zink, one of our great host moms. Tonight is Host Family Appreciation Night at McKeon Park, and we are so thankful for everyone that has chosen to host a Harbor Hawk. Now, you host Tito Flores and Riku Nishida currently, but how long have you been hosting players?
I've been hosting since about 2016, and 6 years? Okay, 6 years.
It's a long time. Why did you decide to first do that?
Well, I've always brought my girls to the games, and we would watch the games when they were little, and I just was approached to be a host family, and I said, sure, why not?
So, like I said, you're hosting Riku right now and Tito, who they're both smiling at you in the dugout. You've hosted many players throughout the whole season with them coming in and out. What's it like having those guys living at your house?
It's a different dynamic to our house because I do have 2 daughters, and having just girls, it is nice to have some brothers for them to pal around with, and you know, they're, as soon as they walk in, they're brothers and sisters, and it's fantastic. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. We're so appreciative of everything that you do for our Harbor Hawks. Back to you guys.
Bottom of the fourth inning is Austin's about to step back onto the play-by-play mic.
Yeah, we're just discussing the infield pop-up to the first baseman that happened in the last inning, but it's still 2-0 Firebirds here as Mitch Jebb will come back up to the dish for the bottom of the fourth inning.
Can we just talk about what a catch that was by Mike Sirota?
Yeah.
That ball was right down the line. He saved a run.
He did. Sirota, with terrific range, gets to a ball that not a lot of right fielders in the league will get to. Whether it was probably going to hit the chalk too.
Yeah, watch this. Oh no, we'll get you the replays sooner rather than later. But that for a team that has made a bunch of great defensive plays this year, just add that one to the list.
Jebb's back up at the dish now. Lead things off here. He shows bunt, or I guess is that a bunt, Zach? Or do you check his swing? I didn't quite catch what he just did there. We'll take another look.
Yeah,
this was the Sirota play in the last half inning. Mike Sirota's range is impeccable. He goes all the way over the line, makes a catch, and nearly crashes into the wall. And now, speaking of Mike Sirota, here he comes up to the plate after the Jebb. I guess you call that a fly out to the infield?
Yeah, sure, you can call that a P4. I'll score it as such, but looked like he wanted to bunt, and then all of a sudden was like, oh, wait, no, I don't want to bunt, and kind of pulled back, but too little, too late.
Sirota goes after the first pitch, comes up empty, 0-1. Sirota 0 for 1 tonight. He did strike out swinging against Ben Shields, who has been the story of this game. 3 1/3, 1 hit, no walks, and no earned runs so far for the left-hander for the Firebirds. Here comes the pitch to Sirota, breaking ball, drops it right in, 0-2.
Yeah, it's a great pitch from Ben Shields, and Shields in his last game went 5 innings in what wound up being a really good start for Orleans, but he has been one of the more solid arms for the Firebirds this season, and a team that has desperately needed that.
Here comes the 0-2, breaking ball called, strike 3, finds the outside corner. The high strike's in play tonight. That one drops in there as Sirota's down looking for out number 2.
Yeah, I think that's a strike any way you slice it. Ben Shields is slicing and dicing and carving up these Hyannis Harbor Hawks. Yeah, he went 5 innings in that last start against Chatham. It wound up being a 5-2 win, struck out 6, and he wound up no-hitting them through 5 as well.
That brings up Cole McConnell. He flied out to center field in the first inning. He's only at bat tonight. He watches one up at the neck. 1-0, 90 on the fastball.
Well, as I look through my Bob Carpenter scorebook, I see the Harbor Hawks have not had anybody reach base since Mitch Jebb singled to lead the game off.
Called strike to McConnell, 1-1.
We are watching a guy in Ben Shields retire the Harbor Hawks in a manner that is more efficient than we have seen just about anybody this season.
Usually the Hawks, if they're not hitting the ball well, they'll draw some walks. They'll make the pitcher work. But tonight, Shields has been the one in command. The 1-1 to McConnell. Breaking ball, Cole pops it foul. It's going to drift out of play and will serve as a souvenir for a lucky fan. 1-2 now the count to the left-handed hitter, Cole McConnell from LA Tech. He was their cleanup guy for most of the season. As a Bulldog, he had 9 homers. You're starting to see that power here on the Cape with 3 long balls in a Harbor Hawk uniform. In just 64 games played, Cole McConnell drove in 76 runs at Louisiana Tech. Here comes the 1-2 to Cole. Fastball, he lines it down the left field line. It's going to curve foul out of play and towards the Harbor Hawk arm barn. Count will hold at 1-2.
Nice play by George Apple Banana, making the snag right here near the dugout, or right near the bullpen. But look, Shields has retired the last 10 Harbor Hawk batters, and Cole McConnell is the only thing standing in his way of another perfect inning.
Here comes the windup and the 1-2 from Shields. Breaking ball swung on and missed. Ben Shields has taken over McKeon Park tonight and made it his own. 4 shutout innings from the lefty from the Firebirds. The Hawks looking to keep the bats at bay. As they return to the mound, we'll see if it's going to be Magdale Cotto for another inning when we return on the Harbor Hawks Baseball Network.
With Hood Milk, you can trust your family is getting high-quality milk in every nutritious and delicious drop. It begins here on farms that Hood selects, with farmers who uphold the highest standards and who pledge to never use artificial growth hormones. And you'll see that care continue right to your home with our Light Block bottle, which protects the fresh taste of your milk. At Hood, we never stop caring about our milk because you never stop caring about your family. Always good, always Hood.
If you live here, fun is your thing. If you live here, tough is your thing. Smart is your thing. Caring is your thing. If you live in Massachusetts, community is your thing. Since 1972, the Massachusetts State Lottery has provided over $25 billion to help cities and towns with the things they need most. If you live here, giving is your thing.
Welcome back for the top of the 5th inning already from McKeon Park. Before we begin the proceedings, let's take a look at the standings around the Cape Cod Baseball League, beginning with the East Division. YD remains firmly asserted in the #1 spot with 19 wins. Brewster and Orleans, the Firebirds who we see tonight, 2-3. Really anybody's game, but Zach, they could easily, either one of those teams could fall out to Chatham, who's starting to play some better baseball, Harwich in the 4th spot. So really, the playoffs, YD's in. Otherwise, it's a little bit of everything. You don't know what you're going to get out of the East, but the West, a little bit more competitive this year. Hyannis and Catuit each with 21 wins. The Hawks are in first. Bourne over 20 wins as well. Falmouth in. Wareham, unfortunately, has faltered down the stretch, so the playoffs in the West pretty much set with Hyannis, Catuit, Bourne, and Falmouth. How the seedings will play out, these next couple of games are big to determine who's getting home field.
Well, if Hyannis can win tonight, if you're watching in Brewster, you're rooting for the Hawks because a Hawks win would lock up a Whitecaps playoff spot, considering that Brewster won 8-5 over Harwich earlier today.
First pitch of the inning, grounded back to Cotto. McGlory went after it, hit a weak chopper, and Mag makes the play, 1-3 for out number 1. That's a big first out because Zach, the last couple of innings, Cotto's allowed a leadoff single and now or a leadoff hit in his last 3 innings. That was a big one to get there.
Yeah, big confidence booster for Cotto. And now, look, if you're Magdale Cotto, you can get through this frame, hopefully without allowing any more guys to cross the plate. You give up 5 innings, 2 runs, that puts your team in a position to win the game.
That brings up the top of the order, Luke Keischel, 1 for 2 tonight with a single. Keishel's been one of the most consistent Firebirds, a 2-year Firebird. He was here last summer, led the team as well in many offensive categories, watches a called strike. Luke Keischel, really no way to describe it but a pure hitter. He's got power with 4 homers this season, 15 RBI, but he's also an incredible gap-to-gap hitter, a lot of contact from the shortstop / outfielder / first baseman. He's played a little bit everywhere, too, for the Firebirds.
We've seen one of the most valuable attributes a guy can have in the Cape Cod Baseball League, and in baseball as a whole, is versatility. And Keischel, you can put him just about anywhere. You look at his spray chart as well. He will hit all over the field.
Yeah.
It looks like a Jackson Pollock painting. You got dots going on all sides of the infield.
He's just, there's nowhere to throw him where he can't either turn on a pitch or put it the other side of the field. And that will be the show, Zach. Guys have hot zones and cold zones within the strike zone. Some will turn red if that's where they hit the ball really well. Some's cold. I don't think he has a cold zone anywhere in the strike zone to Luke Keeschel. Everywhere seems to be hot because he hits at every part of the zone.
Except for Joey Gallo, he's just only got a cold zone.
Yeah, well, that one's popped foul. Luckily, Keeschel's the opposite. 96 on the fastball by Magdiel Cotto, and that could be as high as 99, knowing the radar gun here could be off by about 3 miles per hour, the saying goes.
Well, we know that, like you said, Cotto can almost get up to triple digits, and he, despite not being the best we've seen him tonight, he's still been quite good.
You can get 5 innings, like you said. 5 innings and just 2 runs from your starter would be huge. That will win you a lot of ball games, and you're not going to win if you can't score, so the Hawks' bats certainly have work to do. Here's the windup in the 1-2. Just misses a bit low, 2-2, the count evens up. Magdiel Cotto, the power fastball, one of the top left-handers in all of Division I, the hardest throwing left-hander in all of Division I baseball. Here comes a 2-2 to Keeschel in the dirt, low, but it's a good pitch, though. You get a lot of swings on one like that at the feet.
And for someone like Keeschel, who's slated to transfer to Arizona State come fall, you have a guy on the mound in Magdiel Cotto who's throwing high 90s, and you're going to see some of that in the Pac-12. So Luke Keeschel, this is something that you need to learn how to adjust to. He's already 1 for 2 today, but you're going to see that velo more than you might at San Francisco.
Cotto lets Keeschel off the hook with a 1-out walk as Luke will head down to first base. Mag was ahead of him 1-2. Just couldn't finish it off. That brings up the Tampa second baseman J.D. Urso. Grounded into a double play in his last at-bat. Makes him 1 for 2 tonight. Coach Beatty, obviously a big Tampa connection with Eric Beatty, went over to Urso, Drew Earhart, the Hawks' third baseman, and Holland Towns, another Tampa connect, and they had a big picture together before the game. Those guys were doing some catching up on their summer, seeing how it's going.
Feels like we have a lot of connections in tonight's game, both between Urso and Earhart and the Pittsfield guys.
Ground ball back up the middle. Jeb will take it a second himself for 1. Throw to first is in time. The Hawks have turned 3 double plays in the first 5 innings as Mitch Jeb, the typical third baseman over at short, has taken over McKeon Park. He'll have to contend with Ben Shields, who will return to the mound for his 5th inning of work. The Hawks have work to do at the plate, trailing 2-0 as we head to the bottom of the 5th on the Harbor Hawks Baseball Network.
Traffic is treacherous.
There's a fender bender on the pike.
Gonna be a wicked commute. The expressway's backed up to the gas tanks.
Gridlock.
Crawl. Snarl. Jamma. Bottleneck. Log jam. 128 is a parking lot.
You'll be late for supper tonight.
Keeping your car road ready is what we do best. At Sullivan Tire, we're always here to get you there.
Hey, we get you there too.
Having a 5G phone that's not on T-Mobile makes as much sense as playing ice hockey. Using pool noodles. Get out of the penalty box with 5G coverage like this. T-Mobile has more 5G bars in more places than anyone. T-Mobile, more 5G bars in more places. Another reason T-Mobile is the leader in 5G.
Welcome back to the Harbor Hawks Baseball Network, a.k.a. the Ben Shields Show at McKeon Park, as he's through 4 innings of 1-hit baseball with no walks and 6 strikeouts. This might be the best starting pitching performance we've seen all season.
Well, it's either that or the time that Zach Volker threw like 1 ball in the first 5 innings. Hey, Jay Driver's 11 strikeouts.
That was a good one, too. We'll see if the Hawks can finally get to Shields here. It's going to be Shawnuel, Earhart, and Moore, the trio, due up here. 4, 5, 6 for the Hawks. They haven't had a hit since the first batter of the bottom of the first inning, Mitch Jeb. He was later caught stealing. So effectively, he's really retired 12 in a row after the caught stealing came pretty quickly to in the bottom of the first. See if Shields will keep it rolling or if the Hawks can finally crack the code. Down 2-0, bottom of the 5th. Austin Akuta alongside Zach Berman here on the Harbor Hawks Baseball Network. A beautiful night for baseball. Shonowell rips the first pitch foul. No wind now. The flag is just still. It's caught up in a tree.
Yeah, flag is literally just out there in a tree.
There's no wind. This is like a perfect night for baseball.
My goodness,
the weather is beautiful.
absolutely.
No wind going on. And the flag's just hanging out in one of those trees in right center. Here comes the 0-1. Misses for a ball. Count will even up at 1-1 to Nolan Shonowell.
Yeah, you can hear the namesake Harbor Hawks soaring and chirping their way around McKeon Park here.
Ozzy and Harriet, I believe their names are. There was also a third and a fourth one up there. I think there's 4 total up in that nest. That one's got something in its claws.
Oh, yeah, no, I think it's got a fish, right? It's going right to left field. And it's going to prop itself up on that left center field light pole.
He's taking dinner for himself. Here comes a 2-1 to Shonowell. Misses, called strike, sorry, misses the location, but finds the zone. 2-2 now the count. Shields got the fastball working. Harbor Hawks soaring over McKeon Park tonight. Very active on this beautiful day. Shonowell staring down a 2-2 count. Here comes the windup and the pitch from Shields. Fouled off. The count will hold where it is.
Man, Garrett Gilmet, again, he's taken a couple pitches that would be balls anywhere else and has framed them right over the heart of the plate. He's been one of the more impressive defensive catchers we've seen on the Cape or in Wareham all season.
Some guys are really good at presenting the ball to the umpire, and that's where Garrett Gilmet really has succeeded. It's been making the pitches that aren't strikes look really good. Here comes the 2-2. Shonowell rips it up the middle. Fielded there by McLaury. The throw to first in time. Shonowell goes down for out number 1.
Another good contact by Shonowell, but Shonowell is, I'd say he's the biggest victim of BABIP in this entire team. Of course, BABIP stands for players batting average exclusively on balls hit into the field of play, and he hits a lot of them hard. I'd love to know the expected batting average on some of these hard ground balls that Nolan Shonowell hits.
Fortunately, we don't have fan graphs down here in the Cape Cod Baseball League. Don't get those numbers, but yeah, I mean, he's ripping the ball all around the ballpark. How many times have we seen him hit a line drive right at somebody? Here comes Drew Earhart with 1 down. He's behind in the count 0-1 as Ben Shields continues to roll into his 5th inning of work. Shields gets the signs from Gilmet. Now from the windup, here comes the 0-1. Breaking ball cut on and missed. Earhart's behind 0-2.
Yeah, that breaking ball in these righty bats has been just lights out, night. What you gonna do about it? And I want to see, now you're down 0-2 in the count. Earhart, you have to defend. We'll see what he does.
Here comes the windup and the 0-2 pitch. Breaking ball, cut on and miss. Gilmet puts the tag on Earhart. He's down swinging for punch-out number 7 by Ben Shields.
Well, he went down to that same pitch again, and I mean, what are you going to do about that? I want to see, can Christian Moore catch up to it as well? Moore only for 1 in this game, but my eye's drifting right now towards that Orleans bullpen because the sooner the Harbor Hawks can get Ben Shields out of the game, the better.
They might not even hit him out of the game. He might just hit his pitch count. That's the only way you can hope to chase him goodbye. Here comes the first pitch to Moore. He fouls it off right at the bat boys sitting on the right side of the field. Luckily, they're okay.
That's why the screen exists.
Now, one of them's sitting to the right of the screen. He's not even protected. So he might want to scooch a little bit to his left. Won the count to Christian Moore. Shields has been efficient with his pitches as well. Just 56 thrown through 4 2/3. Some of the guys come in with 60-pitch limits on any given night, and usually they say, okay, 60 pitches, maybe 4 innings of work, or maybe 3 innings, depending on how efficient the guy is. Well, Ben Shields is only thrown now 57 pitches, and now is ahead of Christian Moore through 4 2/3, 0-2.
40 strikes to 18 balls.
Yeah.
That is among one of the best ball-strike ratios we've seen a single game all season.
Shields from the windup once more. Here comes the 0-2 to Christian Moore. Breaking ball, swung on and missed. Ben Shields has put on a performance at McKeon Park that the Harbor Hawks are going to remember. 5 innings, just 1 hit, no runs, no walks, and he has struck out 8 Harbor Hawk hitters as he takes a slow walk back to the dugout. His team's ahead 2-0 on the Harbor Hawks Baseball Network.
Bronk,
What up, TB?
what do you think my next move should be? Give it to me straight. Maybe it's just time I hang him up.
I got one word for you. Retirement. If you retire now, you're gonna be walking on soft sand in a week. Just come to Florida and feel the wind in your hair. Retirement is like winning another one. Maybe I'll even join you.
On the Spotty Network, this is what Tom heard.
If you retire now, you're soft and weak. Just come to Florida and win another one. Maybe I'll even join you. Just go win another one.
Like it's that easy, Gronk. Maybe it is. I still feel like I have a lot to accomplish.
My goal is to win one more.
And Gronk's coming with me.
I'm retired from retiring? Mom, where are my football pants?
Don't trust big decisions to just any network. Go with T-Mobile, the GO in 5G.
And I'm not soft or weak either.
T-Mobile is the leader in 5G.
Welcome back to the Harbor Hawks Baseball Network in the top of the 6th inning. And look who's on the mound once again. That's Magdiel Cotto for his 6th inning of work. This is a rarity. You don't see starters go this deep in a game, Zach.
I like putting Cotto in here to go 6 because you still do have games tomorrow early afternoon, or early, I should say, for Harbor Hawks standards, Monday, Tuesday before the playoffs. So you want to save as much of your bullpen as possible. I'm looking at that big divisional matchup on Inborn Tuesday night. That's going to be one where you're going to want all hands on deck because that could potentially determine a whole lot of seating-related stuff. And if you can get Cotto to go 6 strong here, that would be huge in saving the pen down the line.
He's only given up 2 runs. He's only walked 1 guy. The biggest difference for Magdiel Cotto, he came into the game with 28 strikeouts in 22 innings. Over a strikeout an inning, really good stuff. Just 1 strikeout tonight in 5 innings of work. It's been the contact. 3 double play balls rolled by this Harbor Hawk defense. Cam Jones ready to lead us off as he rips that one on the ground past a diving Earhart into left field for another leadoff single. The 4th time in an inning tonight that the Orleans Firebirds have begun the inning with a base hit.
Well, I got a text in the 1st inning. Hey, Zach, it's Zach Chase. Tidbit for the broadcast if you want it. Cam Jones at Georgia State is one of my favorite players in all of college baseball and my favorite player in the league that is not a Hyannis Harbor Hawk. Has hit better here than I even expected, and pitches too. And, yeah, he just showed some more of that right there.
Jones is back on base. His 2nd single of the night. Thank you to Zach Chase, our assistant general manager. Big fan of the man on first, Cam Jones. Isaac Humphrey, 0 for 2 tonight, in danger of snapping that 26-game on-base streak that he possesses. Cotto, lefty-lefty here. Fastball cut on and missed on the inside part of the plate, 1-1. When the Cotto's fastball is working like that with some run to it, it makes it very tough for left-handed hitters.
You know, I would love to see that fastball work, but hey, could you cook me up one of those double play balls again, Magdiel Cotto?
He's already chefed up 3. I don't know if he's got any more time in the kitchen to get a 4th. That'd be ideal, though. That'd be great. Here comes the 1-1. Ground ball, just weakly hit down the first base line and out of play. He also snapped his bat, did Humphrey. Looked like may have caught him a bit on the backswing. He's going to go retrieve a new piece of lumber, and he's behind 1-2 when he eventually will return to the plate.
Yeah, the fastball inside completely jammed Isaac Humphrey, and when Cotto's fastball is working, it has the potential and the ability to do such a thing. But you have to note, early in the season, we saw broken bats almost every other inning, and now as guys are starting to get used to hitting with these wood bats, the broken bat count has gone down considerably.
They're not chasing pitches on the hands as much, it seems. The plate discipline's improved. Counts 1-2 to Isaac Humphrey. Cotto comes set. Here comes the 1-2. Ripped to right field, another base hit. The 9th hit of the night for the Orleans Firebirds. They now have runners on first and second. Nobody out here on the top of the 6th as action in the Harbor Hawk bullpen is ramped up.
What did you say? 26 straight games reaching base for Isaac Humphrey?
Make it 27.
27. One of the longest streaks we've seen of such on Cape Cod all summer.
He's been terrific. He's been a thorn in the Harbor Hawk side a couple of times in their brief matchups this year because Hawks only play each team from the East Division 2 times at home, 2 times on the road, and after that single, that's going to be the end of the day for Magdiel Cotto. So Cotto now allows 9 hits through 5 innings, but just 2 runs, 1 walk. Not the most efficient day for Mag, but just 2 runs across 5 innings will put your team in a position to win. Coach Beatty comes to the mound, takes the ball from Cotto. We're going to have a pitching change here at McKeon Park. First and second, nobody out, top of the 6th. Firebirds are threatening when we return on the Harbor Hawks Baseball Network.
My family earns respect.
My family clears bases.
My family breaks records.
My family wins MVPs.
My family gives everything.
My family makes history. My family wins championships.
There's no family.
There's no family. There's no family.
There's no family like my family. Join the fam.
Join the fam.
Join the fam.
With Hood Milk, you can trust your family is getting high-quality milk in every nutritious and delicious drop. It begins here on farms that Hood selects, with farmers who uphold the highest standards and who pledge to never use artificial growth hormones. And you'll see that care continue right to your home with our Light Block bottle, which protects the fresh taste of your milk. At Hood, we never stop caring about our milk because you never stop caring about your family. Always good, always Hood.
Gannon's Tavern is the home of incredible wings, handcrafted cocktails, ice-cold beer, and Keno. Their innovative tavern menu features seafood, great sandwiches, steaks grilled to perfection, and stunning specialty dishes. There's no better place to watch your favorite New England pro football team than Gannon's Tavern, in their large bar or outside on their covered deck, complete with TV and sound. Gannon's Tavern, 959 Burses Way, Hyannis. Like them on Facebook and Instagram.
See you soon at Gannon's Tavern.
Isaiah Rhodes, the new man on the mound for the Harbor Hawks, says he has a tough situation to enter into. First and second, nobody out here on the top of the 6th inning with his squad already chasing 2 runs. Austin Nakuda, Zach Berman here on the Harbor Hawks Baseball Network, as it'll be Jack Bolger, the left fielder / Vanderbilt catcher. He's been able to play a multitude of positions this summer. Will stand in here. He's already had a hot start to his day, 2 for 2 with a double, a single, and a run scored.
Look, Rhodes has been really good, and you're going to need him right now to be great because the way that Ben Shields is pitching.
Well, he's going to show a bunt, and he drops down a good one. Rhodes will let it go foul. That's a smart play by Isaiah Rhodes to wait a half second, grab it while it goes foul, because that bunt was so good. Not only were the runners going to advance, but Bolger may have been safe at first.
That's, how do you say it? Looks like Jack Bolger almost went to the C.J. Kafis school of laying down buttes down the line, almost getting that one for a hit. But you need Rhodes to come in here and preferably slam the door because the way that Ben Shields, we don't know how much longer he's going to go. There's no action in the Orleans bullpen right now.
Isaiah Rhodes tonight, 8-2, and on the season enters tonight with 8 2/3, 13 strikeouts, just 2 earned runs. Bolger is showing him bunt. Now he'll pull back. 0-1 the count, first and second, nobody down. Hawks corner infielders are in, still expecting the bunt. Bolger squares around, but Rhodes will step off, look the runner back to second.
I'm surprised that Earhart is not playing as far up as he could be. You have Shonowell that's...
Well, the problem is if Earhart plays up any further, they could steal third base.
Right.
The 0-1 shows bunt. He did offer, so Bolger's going to come up empty. 0-2 on the bunt attempt now. That is a big misplay by Jack Bolger.
Yeah, you got to pull that back in time. Bolger didn't do so, and now you can't bunt anymore unless you want to take that risk. So curious to see how Bolger changes his approach, and more importantly, how Isaiah Rhodes changes his approach.
Isaiah Rhodes with that lower arm slot, not quite sidearm. I guess sidearm, but not submarine. A little bit different. Has given hitters problems here in the Cape. Definitely tough on right-handed hitters. Here comes the 0-2 from Isaiah Rhodes. Fastball, or breaking ball rather, outside. It's so tough to tell from his arm slot as well, whether it's a fastball off the hand or that slider. 1-2 now the count to Bolger.
Yeah, that arm slot, if he went any further down, he'd have to be a Kettleer because only they take those submarine arms.
Rhodes comes set. Here comes the 1-2. Swung on and missed. A big punch out by Isaiah Rhodes as he sets down Jack Bolger, and what a monumental out number one that is.
That arm slot, when you throw the breaking ball to a right-handed hitter, it's going to fool you because you don't know if it's going to come out at close to 90 miles an hour or a little bit below 80 miles an hour. That one went down to 75 on the radar gun, so Isaiah Rhodes really dialing it back, absolutely fooling Jack Bolger, who was 2 for 2 going into that plate appearance.
That brings up Drew Metzdorf. He's 1 for 1 with a walk and a stolen base in addition to his single. Busy day for Drew. Or he's 1 for 2 at fielder's choice. They ended up rolling that.
Yeah, he also reached on that weird pop-up.
Yeah, that was the fielder's choice.
Yeah.
1-0 the count to Metzdorf. First and second, 1 down. The Hawks have already rolled 3 double plays in this game. He did offer, but the ball gets past George Corona. As it hit his glove, that might be ruled a pass ball. It should be ruled a pass ball, I should say.
My first instinct was that it was foul tipped, but then the way everybody responded made it clear that no, it wasn't.
Misplay by the catcher, Corona. Puts runners on second and third. The double play is no longer in order. The infield will have to come in, and the situation gets even tougher for Isaiah Rhodes. 1-1 the count, second and third, 1 down. The Hawks already trailing 2-0. Rhodes comes set. Here comes the pitch. Weak pop-up foul out of play. The count will move to 1-2.
Well, now Rhodes is in this situation. You need to go back to that same pitch that you got Bolger with. I'm not sure if Metzdorf is going to be waiting on it, but if you can get a strikeout here, then that takes away the sacrifice fly. That takes away the ground ball that can score a run. You want to keep this in any way, shape, or form at 2-zip with the way that Ben Shields has been pitching.
Rhodes comes set. Here comes the 1-2 pitch. High chopper to third over the head of Earhart, who is playing in. 1 run will score. They're going to hold the runner at third, and it's another single for the Orleans Firebirds, their 10th hit of the night, which makes it 3-0.
Well, that's the risk of playing so far in, and Earhart had it squared up, and it took one of those signature McKeon hops, went right over his head, over his glove, and 10 hits for Orleans tonight. They have played the Harbor Hawks in a way the Harbor Hawks usually play other teams. Small ball, small ball, small ball, and that ball, that run is going to be charged on Magdale Cotto.
Well, how big was that pass ball now by George Corona? That would have loaded the bases, or actually, Zach, the infield wouldn't have been in, so that could have been a double play ball had the pass ball not happened. First pitch misses low to Garrett Gilmet, the catcher. Cotto gets charged with his 3rd earned run. He's also responsible for Humphrey over at third base. First and third, 1 down. Here comes the 1-0. Gilmet waves at that one and misses a 1-1. That slider just takes off.
Feels like it's almost a coincidence you're talking about the importance of defensive catching with Gilmet at the plate, who really, without him, you got to deal with Mitch Jebb in scoring position earlier in the game, and since then, the Harbor Hawks have not had a base runner.
The 1-1. Waved at and missed again. 1-2. Drops it down to 75 on the slider.
That slider through that arm slot, pretty tough to catch up to if you're a righty bat.
Rhodes gets the signs from George Corona. Humphrey off of third. The pickoff move goes to first, where Metzdorf is back in safely. It was a close play. Rhodes has got a good pickoff move.
You have to be careful with the pickoff move, though, because we've seen so many times with a runner off a third, how many times has Hyannis taken advantage? Maybe a bad pickoff move winds up going over the head of your first baseman and scoring that run. You have to be careful.
Here comes the 1-2. Runner goes. That one comes in and hits Garrett Gilmet, which will load the bases, so no stolen base. The hit batter on the back will load it up here with just one down for Orleans.
Little too much spin on that one from Isaiah Rhodes. He threw the breaking ball, tried to get it to paint the inside corner, and instead of tailing, kind of over the plate, that one just tailed straight in and got Gilmet on the back shoulder.
Tommy Hopefee back at the plate, bases loaded. A big spot here for the right fielder, 0 for 2 tonight. First pitch swinging pop-up, shallow right field, going to be a tough play. Earhart's after it, as is Jeb, and Mitch Jeb makes the catch. The range of Mitch Jeb comes up big once again as Money Mitch uses the legs to get to that one and hold the bases loaded. For now, a big out number 2.
That feels like a play that you could look at down the line if the Harbor Hawks can manage to mount a comeback and say, that saved the game. And there's a ball hit into no man's land, and Mitch Jeb calls off his third baseman, tracks that ball into the lights, makes the catch, saves a run as well, possibly 2.
Brings up Nick McLaury, the 9-hitter. He's 1 for 2 tonight. Rhodes 1 out away from getting out of a jam. First pitch, inside, called strike. The inside strike is there for the taking tonight, and we'll see if Rhodes goes back to it. Bases are loaded, so the force is at any base here, which helps your pitcher breathe a bit. Here comes Rhodes, easy comes, set. The 0-1. Outside, 1-1.
Now, McCleary's 1 for 2 today, but we've seen that slider, with that arm slot, has really been tough for these righty bats, but at the same time, beware the pass ball as well. You don't want to put anything where Corona might not be able to get it.
1-1, 2 down, bases loaded. Orleans has a run across. I mean, it could be much worse. We'll see if Rhodes gets out of it. Misses outside, maybe a bit low, 2-1.
It's a good pitch there by Isaiah Rhodes. Just couldn't get the call. And you don't want to get too behind in this count because now bases loaded. Where are you going to put them? You got to get this ball to be put in play.
Can't fall behind, 3-1. Action in the Harbor Hawk arm barn down the left field line. Right-hander beginning to throw. Here's the 3-2-1. High chopper down the third base line. That one goes foul. Count moves to 2-2.
It's a big play there to get that to go foul. Where do you go on this 2-ball, 2-strike, 2-out pitch in a game that you desperately need to keep at 3-zip?
His best pitch is that slider. Might as well go back to it to the right-handed hitter. See where Rhodes goes and what Corona calls. Humphrey off of third. Betzdorf on second. Gilmet on first. The 2-2. And a called strike 3. Isaiah Rhodes freezes McLaury to end the inning. The Firebirds strand the bases loaded. Let's see if that out will give the Hawks some momentum as they come back up for the bottom of the 6th inning. 3-0 the score. Orleans leads it on the Harbor Hawks Baseball Network.
What are you looking forward to?
Adding a takeout window.
And more locations.
Paying off my student loans.
Juggling my 4 small businesses and staying sane.
Raising my allowance.
Finishing my painting and starting the next one.
Catching a keeper. Cashing anything.
Making the most of my retirement.
Checking my balance and hopefully having one.
Whatever you want for your family, your business, or your community, talk to us at Cape Cod 5 because we're looking forward to helping you.
This is your time to change your career, to advance your skills, to follow your dream. Curry College continuing in graduate studies. Tomorrow is coming. Be ready.
Coke Zero is now Coke Zero Sugar, with great Coke taste. Some people were excited to hear the news. Some were skeptical. So we're not going to have the star of the show you're watching come out and say, "You'll love it." No special jingle written by this week's hottest pop star. No famous internet celebs who happen to be holding the label just so. Okay, maybe just one little pour shot. The only thing that will make you believe Coke Zero Sugar has great Coke taste is trying it yourself. Ice cold Coke Zero Sugar. Try one today.
Welcome back to Judy Walden Scarefile Field at McKeon Park. Austin Dakuda alongside Zach Berman live from the broadcast booth as the Harbor Hawks are trying to crack the code that has been Ben Shields tonight, as he really could not have been better. 5 innings, 1 hit, no runs or walks, and he has struck out 8 Harbor Hawks tonight. And for his efforts, Zach, he'll be back out for the bottom of the 6th, facing 7, 8, and 9 in this Hyannis lineup.
Well, the Hawks fans, good news. We do have action in the Orleans Arm Barn, so this is likely the last inning of work for Ben Shields. But can the Harbor Hawks get to him? This is now the 3rd time through the order, and it's still been nothing.
Well, the 2nd time through the order for Corona, Spur, and Riku, the 3 due up here. That's how efficient he's been. It's bottom of the 6th, and these guys are only up for the 2nd time.
Yeah, he has been lights out, absurd.
0-1 the count to George Corona. He struck out, or he grounded it to 3rd, that is, in his only plate appearance tonight. That one misses outside. 1-1 the count to the LA Tech Bulldog. He was their primary catcher all spring. Comes here to Hyannis. Him and Pancho Ruiz are the 2 catchers now for the remainder of this year. The rosters are pretty much locked in as we approach the playoffs. Shields winds up. Here comes the 1-1. Misses high and out. 2-1 the count.
I just think a walk would be huge. If you can get a guy like Shields to get off his game just a little bit, that would be so monumental for this Harbor Hawks team. All it takes is one guy getting on base that could start a rally.
And you got to think, the momentum may just shifted a bit as that one's fouled off. Back with the Harbor Hawks for the first time all game. They haven't had any momentum on that road to strikeout looking. The dugout was fired up. You heard the fans kind of play a factor into that as Rhodes froze the 9-hitter McLaury to end the last inning and leave the bases loaded. You could certainly hear, Zach, the energy pick up a bit.
I mean, Orleans has 3 runs, 10 hits. It could be so much worse.
The windup and the 2-2 on its way to Corona. Breaking balls, line drive up the middle, and it takes a hop, gets over the glove of Urso over at 2nd, and sometimes all you need is a McKeon Park bounce to get your team back on the base pass. The first hit since the first batter of the bottom of the 1st inning. The Hawks had been set down 15 in a row before that single.
I think bounce is understating that. That just took an elevator halfway up into the stratosphere. But credit to George Corona. He hit it hard enough where it would play the mound in such a way, and now the Harbor Hawks finally a base runner. And Caleb Spur, big moment for him, only in his 2nd full game as a Harbor Hawk.
Ground ball to short. Going to be a tough turn. The throw into 2nd for 1. Throw to 1st is not in time. Not in time. Spurs got the speed to leg it out, and he saved a double play, which would have been detrimental to the Harbor Hawks at this point. Last thing they would have wanted would be a double play.
Well, if you had to choose between the 2 base runners that you'd want on between George Corona and Caleb Spur, Spur's the guy you want on. And now you have Riku and Mitch Jebb, and those are the 2 guys that you want here to start that rally with a speedy guy off of 1st. Spur's got the ability to swipe some bags. He did it this spring at Endicott. Would love to see him run early in this count.
Riku Nishida stands in. He's 0 for 1 with a ground out to short in his only at-bat of the night. Spur gets his lead off of 1st as Shields, the lefty, brings home the first pitch to Nishida. A called strike. 0-1 to Riku.
Yeah, this summer, not this spring, this summer with Pittsfield, 17 stolen bases, only 30 games for Caleb Spur. He swiped 15 this spring at Endicott, but I think we're going to see Spur consider running pretty soon in this at-bat.
Here comes the 0-1 from Shields to Nishida. Called strike again. It's rare that Riku will watch 2 fastballs in the zone go by as he's quickly behind 0-2. And now the man off of 1st, 1 out, and Nishida's going to have to shorten up and protect.
Yeah, and here comes the Riku adjustment. We haven't seen him strike out that much this year, but he's been more prone to the strikeout this season than he's been in the past, but that's also due to the way he's changed his hitting style.
Pickoff move to first. Spurs back in standing. Orleans certainly aware of the speed that Caleb Spur possesses, today's starting center fielder. See how Nishida plays it down 0-2. Oftentimes he'll go down to a low crouch and shorten up that swing, but he hasn't done so yet. Nishida loads up here. Here comes the 0-2 from Ben Shields. Nishida high chopper, going to be a tough play. No shot at second. They'll go to first, and they get Nishida by a step. So Riku advances Spur to second. There's now 2 down as we return to the top of the order in Mitch Jebb, the hottest hitter in the Cape Cod Baseball League in the last few days. Already has a hit tonight, 1 for 2. His batting average now sits at .348 as Nishida trots back to the dugout. Man on second, 2 down here in the bottom of the 6th.
And this is the scenario where you need Mitch Jebb to be the leader and lift this team up and get them onto the scoreboard. Probably the furthest into a game we've seen them be shut out in quite some time. But Mitch Jebb, he's already got 1 hit today, and if there's anybody on this Harbor Hawks team that is as good at starting a rally, it'd be Mitch Jebb.
First pitch to Jebb by Shields is a breaking ball. It's off the glove of Gilmet, the catcher. Didn't get far enough away for Spur to advance. Ben Shields coming in tonight was sensational through 23 2/3 innings. He had just allowed 9 runs. 15 hits were pretty solid, 21 strikeouts, but tonight he's elevated his game to another level that I'm not even sure he or Orleans manager Kelly Nicholson could have thought he could tonight. 5 2/3 on the verge of making it 6 shutout innings. Mitch Jebb would like to stand in the way of that. 1-1 the count now to the Michigan State Spartan. Jebb, not a guy who will strike out a ton. We've seen that here in the Cape League. At Michigan, 209 at-bats. He had just 16 strikeouts. Now that converts to 1 strikeout every 13.7 AB. So essentially, once every 3 games this guy will strike out, but not really more than that.
Well, that will certainly play in the Cape Cod Baseball League, but even that, some guys will swing at that pitch. Mitch Jebb, nice job there to hold up and not take the bait. And now you're ahead in the count, and hopefully you can get something that you like from Shields now the 3rd time you've seen him.
In the Michigan State Team Awards, he was the John Cobb's Most Valuable Player this year and the Kirk Gibson Offensive Player of the Year in their team awards. Just the best offensive player Michigan State has. Hard hit ground ball up the middle, going to be a tough play. McClory lays out for it and will hold the throw. It's an infield single from Mitch Jebb. Puts runners at the corners now with still 2 down, but the Hawks will bring the tying run to the plate here. Down 3-0 in the bottom of the 6th.
Well, when you have the tying run coming to the plate, you want someone that's got some power and someone that's had the ability to homer in big moments. Mike Sirota has done that, but he is not going to try for the home run.
Right.
He's a guy that knows where to put the ball in play and when, and he's one of the best guys, not just on the Hyannis Harbor Hawks, but in the entire Cape Cod Baseball League at doing that. And you like the situation here. Sirota has struck out twice, but you got your lefty-righty matchup. And that's the 3rd time you're seeing this guy through the lineup.
Very level swing for Sirota, so not somebody who's going to go chasing a lot of pitches. Although he's down on strikes twice tonight, it's not a regular occurrence for Mike, and was talking with him pre-game a bit. Not a big English guy, doesn't like that class at Northeastern at all. Reed Becker had asked him, the Cape Cod Baseball League Southern reporter, asked Mike Sirota, what's your favorite class at Northeastern? He said, I don't know, I don't really like school. So, Mike Sirota, least favorite class, though, he said was English.
What was your least favorite class growing up?
Never really liked science. Didn't think it was that interesting. Math was all right.
History was always my thing.
I liked history because you could study it and well, not study it, but like science I never really enjoyed once you got to high school. Like physics, I never understood.
Yeah, no.
At all.
The periodic table, I hope to never see that
Yeah,
in my
chemistry.
life.
I'm all set. 1-0 the count to Sirota. Mike's go-to pregame meal is a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's helped power him to a .365 batting average this summer. Runner goes off at first. That's Jebb. Pitches inside. No throw as Mitch Jebb moves up and swipes second base. He was caught earlier in the game, but ran on a good pitch there, and no throw for Gilmet. second and third, and that takes out the force up the middle. And with Sirota's speed, Zach, another infield single up the middle could get a run home.
Well, Mitch Jebb now only 2 swipes behind Riku for tops in the league and tops in the team. But now you're up 2-0 in the count. I wonder if Sirota's going to get the green light in this 2-0 if Shields gives him
I'd say so. It's a prime count to drive a fastball to 2-0. He does swing. It is a fastball, but he was just behind as he fouls it off 2-1.
That was a good pitch to swing at, but once again, Shields expertly placed that pitch. It's a high outside fastball, and Sirota was never going to get anything on it.
2-1 the count. Second and third now after the stolen base. It's Spur over on third, Jebb on second. 2 down here in the inning. Shields comes set to bring home the 2-1, and chasing a changeup is Sirota, and now he's in a 2-2 count with 2 down, as the Hawks would be certainly behooved if they strand these runners in scoring position. Down 3-0 here. Not much offense. They had just 1 hit entering this bottom of the 6th inning. Have compiled 2 here in the inning. Sirota would like to bring them home. Shields comes set. Big pitch upcoming, the 2-2 to Sirota. Takes what plate discipline by Mike Sirota to lay off that slider. 3-2.
Hello, Mike Sirota. Nice to see you. And we've mentioned most guys in this league are going to swing at that pitch, and they're going to go down and try and fish for it. We've seen guys in this Harbor Hawk lineup. It's that inside changeup, latent counts that gets these righty hitters to go down. And Mike Sirota, that's a professional job there to hold up.
Full count, 2 down and 2 on. Shields, a big pitch upcoming. He comes set. Long pause from the left-hander. The payoff pitch to Sirota. Breaking ball, ball 4.
One of the best at-bats we've seen all year. Anybody on this team.
Mike Sirota grinds out a walk, and that was a close pitch as he trots down to first base, tosses his elbow guard to the new first base coach, Pancho Ruiz, and that brings up Cole McConnell with the bases loaded. The Harbor Hawks had 1 hit through their first 5 innings. Now have the bases loaded, 2 down, as Cole McConnell stands in. Big chance here for the Hawks. Shields has been dominant tonight, looking to get himself out of the jam. Lefty, the first pitch to McConnell. Fastball, it's a weak dribbler, back to the mound. Shields will flip onto home. The smart play by the pitcher who's had a successful night. The Hawks will leave the bases loaded. Ben Shields is through 6th inning, and before we get to the 7th, we're going to take a break to tell you about our sponsors, beginning with the Mass State Lottery. As a proud sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, the Mass State Lottery is celebrating the games we love playing. From the baseball diamond to the many lottery games that help support all 351 cities and towns across the Commonwealth. So here's to 50 years of winning and 50 more. A big thank you to T-Mobile, who is proud to sponsor the Cape Cod Baseball League. T-Mobile that believes that when small towns thrive, America thrives. That's why they're investing billions to bring fast, reliable, and affordable wireless service beyond the big cities and towns across America. There's never been a better time to join T-Mobile. Visit T-Mobile.com/acrossamerica to find out more. And a big thank you to the Massachusetts Health Connector. Lose your job? Just have a baby. Just turned 26 and are off your parents' health insurance. Well, the Massachusetts Health Connector has you covered. When life changes, health care changes, the Health Connector makes sure you still have coverage. The Health Connector won't let you go without coverage. Reach out to learn more. Call us today at 1-877-MA-enroll. That's 1-877-MA-enroll, or go to www.mahealthconnector.org/get-help. Get covered today. A big thank you to all 3 of our outstanding sponsors from the Hyannis Harbor Hawks. New pitcher on the mound to begin the proceedings here in the top of the 7th inning. Austin Dakuta, Zach Berman, welcome you back in the Harbor Hawk broadcast booth here at McKeon Park, as the Hawks have work to do down 3-0, and they'd like to get a scoreless inning here. Zach, out of the new pitcher.
Yeah, no, it's been a really tough offensive game for the Harbor Hawks, but you know that they're not out of this game yet. This team has shown the ability to come back late in the season, late in games. They've done it. They've done it before. They can do it again. But right now, that's going to rest on the arm of their new pitcher, and that will be Holland Towns.
He'll be the right-hander, Holland Towns. So he has switched jersey numbers. It was believed that he had number 31, but that is Braden Nelson, who has 31. So to be Holland Towns, he's made one appearance, 1 inning of work, 1 walk, no strikeouts, no hits, no runs, really uneventful stuff. So he'll hope to work a scoreless 7th here, as he'll have to deal with the top of the Firebird order, beginning with Luke Kieshel.
Now, Kieshel has had a productive day, 1 for 2 with a single and a walk, but the Harbor Hawks, almost you have to feel like they're lucky to be in this spot, because you give up 10 hits and you only surrender 3 runs out of it. You're still in a position to come back and win this game, and I'm sure you're going to be thankful to hopefully not see Ben Shields come back out in the 7th inning.
Kieshel stands in 1 for 2 tonight. He's also reached via the walk. Successful night for the right-hander. First pitch by Holland Towns misses, 1-0.
Holland Towns rocking the rec specs. Fastball at 89. He's got an interesting delivery as you watch it right here. See,
it's like a little, he coils up very quickly and then releases towards the plate. Behind 2-0 to Luke Kieshel. How about Isaiah Rhodes? Comes in first and second with, nobody out. 1 run does come across, but I wouldn't really fault it to Rhodes in the last inning. Then gets a couple of strikeouts, strands the bases loaded. Right now, Isaiah Rhodes has really kept you in this ballgame.
Yeah, Rhodes is the reason this could have been a lot worse, but you also have to take advantage. Bases loaded, 2 out. One of your best hitters at the plate in Cole McConnell. Harbor Hawks would have loved to have 1 back there.
2-1 pitch, misses outside. 3-1 the count to Luke Kieshel. Kieshel, Urso, and Jones, 1-2-3 due up here in the top of the 7th inning. Bottom half of the 7th inning will bring you What's in the Box, sponsored by Honeydew Donuts. Here comes the 3-1. Called strike. Kieshel flips the bats, took about 10 steps down the first base line. Will have to retighten the bat and gloves, retrieve the bat, and head back to the right-handed batter's box.
Towns has been aiming low for a majority of these pitches, and that one just caught a little bit of the plate. I think you want to be careful because that fastball only tops out on 89-90, and if you elevate that a little bit too high, Kieshel could do some damage with it.
Here comes the full count pitch from Holland Towns. Fastball. Kieshel skies it to center field. Caleb Spur drifts in, puts the glove up, and makes the catch for out number 1.
Nice job there by Holland Towns. He jams Luke Kieshel, gets him to elevate a ball right up into the middle of the outfield.
That brings up J.D. Urso, who's had a little bit of a difficult night. 1 for 3, but the 2 outs, he's grounded into 2 double plays. He's played solid defense tonight over at second base for Orleans. Batting average at .209 now on the season after his 1 for 3 night to this point. Towns gets the signs from Corona. First pitch to Urso. Called ball, 1-0.
You know, last summer, J.D. Urso played 11 games with, listen to this one, the Matsu Miners of the Alaska Baseball League.
Now, we've seen early in the year, we saw a few guys from the Alaska League here this summer. Haven't seen as many now that we've gone through all the teams a couple of times, but that is a well-traveled man in that right-handed batter's box, all the way up to Alaska, all the way now to Cape Cod, pretty much as far as you can go on each side of the country. That was grounded foul, 2-1.
Far west and as far east, but he's played in 3 summer leagues, the Alaska League, the Cape League, and he was a member of the Seminole County Snappers of the Florida Collegiate Summer League.
Called strike. Count will even up at 2-2. Nice pitch there from Holland Towns. He's works quickly. Thrown a couple more balls than he'd like early on, but still staying in the zone. Towns gets the signs from Corona here with the 2-2 incoming. The windup and the pitch from the right-hander. Breaking ball, weak tapper, foul. It's a great pitch, ton of movement, and a nice job by Urso to spoil it and get some wood on it to foul it off.
Well, you get the feeling as the Harbor Hawks of another arm warming in the barn that this is only a one-inning task for Holland Towns, so you just want to see him relatively efficiently get these next two batters out.
That'd be Tommy O'Rourke out there throwing. He may just be throwing a bullpen. We did see him start just a few days ago. You never know with the guys warming up. The 2-2 fouled off. There's oftentimes we see guys warming up and they're just throwing a bullpen during the game, stay loose, or you could see him in the game. Wouldn't surprise me.
Well, we do have our starters for the next 2 days. Tomorrow it will be Jake Berry taking on YD at 4:30 at Red Wilson Field. Then Monday against Harwich, Jay Driver is going to have to figure out a way to top his 11 strikeouts.
That miss is a bit high and outside. The count will move to full.
I'd say you're 1, 2, 3 in terms of your starting rotation come playoff time. Coda will be there.
Volker,
Berry. I think those are your three right now.
The 3-2, that's hit a long way to left field. Running after it is Spur, and moving over is Moore. It gets between the two. Moore gets it on a hop. Pulling up into second is Urso for his second hit of the night, and it's a one-out double.
Hung the breaking ball. Urso went down and gulfs it into the left center field gap. Spur just a hair away from making a spectacular catch, but now you got another base runner in scoring position to deal with if you're the Hyannis Harbor Hawks.
Not the guy you want to deal with coming up to the plate. Cam Jones is 2 for 3 tonight. He's risen his batting average all the way to .357 on the year. He has a duck on the pond with one down. 3-0, Orleans leads the Hawks if you're just joining us. Top of the 7th inning here at McKeon Park. 11 hits for the Firebirds tonight, just 3 for the Hyannis Harbor Hawks. No errors for either of these teams. Pretty clean ball game between both. Just 2 hours in as Towns comes set. First pitch to Jones. Misses low, blocked there by Corona, 1-0.
Yeah, yesterday's game was pretty brisk. It went under 3 hours, but I believe there were 200. I got to pull it up. Codball put it out. Yeah, yesterday.
What did they put out?
They put out the exact pitch count from yesterday's game.
1-0 the count as Cam Jones stands in. Getting his lead off second is J.D. Urso. Towns will come set. Right-hander brings home the 1-0. Breaking ball in the zone called strike at 81 as the count will even up at 1-1. Holland Towns doing a nice job of bouncing back after the double, but it's a big out here if he can retire Cam Jones and keep the runner at second. 3 runs is not insurmountable. We've seen the Hawks, Zach, have plenty of innings in which they've put up 3 runs and come back.
Late in games as well.
We'll see if they can do it here. The 1-1. Fouled off. Count moves to 1-2. Another elevated fastball there by Towns. 89 that time from the right-hander Holland Towns. From Hines Community College. Towns, the right-handed pitcher. Redshirt sophomore, stands at 6'4".
I think he's going to go low here. We've seen him go low to the righty and Keishel. I think he's going to try and dial that one back again, try and see if he can get Jones to dig for on this 1-2.
Here comes the 1-2 pitch from Holland Towns. A couple of looks over at second, now he brings it home. That one's ripped down the left field line out of play.
Towns was waiting for that, or excuse me, Jones was waiting for that one to duck a little bit low, and he just didn't wait long enough. If he swings maybe a millisecond or 2 later, that's going down the left field line, but just to jump early on that.
One-two again. Cam Jones stands in. Towns, the right-hander, comes set. He'll step off. Holland Towns was a starter this year at Hines Community College, so you might get a couple of innings out of him here. We'll see what the game plan is, but he certainly can finish this ball game off and save your bullpen.
Yeah, you would love to see Holland Towns bear down here and get out of this inning, not surrendering anything. Because this bullpen, you got 1 day off next Wednesday, and then you got the playoffs, and it's fast and furious from that point forth. The
1-2. Breaking ball called strike 3. Towns drops it in. And it was a beauty. That's a big out number 2.
That's one of the prettiest pitches you will see a Harbor Hawk throw all season. Almost a speed ephus. That had an arc to it. That went all the way up and then just dropped like a stone right into the inside corner of the plate. Look at that sunset. Wow, what a baseball sky we have tonight in Hyannis.
You big sunset guy? Go to the beach, watch it descend?
Well, most sunsets, I'm at the ballpark this summer.
That's true. Isaac Humphrey stands in. He's already got a hit tonight. That one misses high and outside. Humphrey 1 for 3 with a single. He's extended his on-base streak to what? We say 27 straight games.
27 straight games. I will say, though, best sunset on Cape Cod is a First Encounter Beach in Eastham.
Eastham?
Eastham. A little bit, yeah. Massachusetts native, thanks for correcting me. But Eastham, First Encounter, amazing sunsets.
The 1-0. Called strike. I don't think I've ever been to Eastham. It's just so far. It's all the way at the end of the Cape.
Well, Eastham, town north.
It's pretty east.
Yeah.
I mean.
Town north of Eastham's Wellfleet. That's where the Beachcomber is. Eastham not far from Orleans.
Beachcombers in Wellfleet, huh?
Beachcombers in Wellfleet, Cahoon Hollow Beach. Probably my single favorite beach on Cape Cod.
Time is called as requested for by Isaac Humphrey. He'll step out. 1-1 the count, 2 down. Runner off of second is J.D. Urso after his double. Still action in the Harbor Hawk Arm Barn. Tommy O'Rourke. It's going to be yet to be seen what the game plan is for the Hawks down the stretch here out of the bullpen. The 1-1 breaking ball dropped in and a called strike. Holland Towns has a very, very good curveball.
Yeah, when you have that much command out of your curveball, you can spam it, as we've seen Holland Towns do down the stretch in the 7th inning. He's got that placement down pat right now.
Towns gets the signs from Corona. Looking to strand the double at second base with 2 down. Long pause from the right-hander. Here comes the 1-2 pitch. Breaking ball hit hard on the ground. Shonowell dives. He makes the play. Flip on to Towns, covering in time to end the inning. Nolan Shonowell saves a run. Flips on to Towns, and the Hawks take some momentum back with him in the dugout as we get another look. The flip, the step, the out, and the inning ends. We'll head to the bottom of the 7th inning, but before we do, we'll toss it over to our sideline reporter, Maria Losek, with an update down on the baseline.
Thanks, guys. Mitch Jebb is putting the Cape League on notice. In his last 13 at-bats, he's reached base 11 times. The infielder from Michigan State is currently batting .353 and is wreaking havoc on the base paths with 22 stolen bases. In his last 2 games, he has 2 home runs, his first and second of the season. I asked him if he made any adjustments at the plate to get more power, and he said, "No, I'm just staying true to myself, but I'm glad that the power has come around at the right time." He's exactly right, as the Hawks have already clinched a playoff spot, but they're still vying for that #1 spot in the West and better fielding position in the playoff. Back to you guys.
Gentlemen, number 7 is in the 8 hole. Number 7 is in the 8 hole, but they swapped positions.
When it comes to buying or selling a home, you need a partner, not just an agent. For over 50 years, Gibson Sotheby's International Realty has set the standard in excellence and performance. A seasoned team that has thrived throughout all markets. Our agents live and work in your neighborhood and understand you. We are over 170 agents strong, backed by an in-house marketing team and global reach that is second to none.
From studios to penthouses, purchasing to renting, our team provides unparalleled real estate services.
This is your time.
Welcome back to the Harbor Hawks Baseball Network, and welcome inside the Tim Elstrom broadcast booth for Inside the Box, where we take a look inside the McKeon Park press box, which also serves as a storage unit for a bunch of odd things. So Honeydew lets us take a look inside the box, and today we have a chip and dip baseball set spreader. So I have the dip bowl and the spreader set. Zach has the chip and dip set itself.
Yeah.
Take a quick look. I got a butter knife, hasn't been opened. Lots of packing. And then there's the bowl, if you can see what's in the box.
We got a
have
ceramic bowl.
Ceramic bowl here, too. And Zach's got the big home plate. That's going to get dropped if you take that out of the package.
No, it's not.
I don't know.
Here.
There it is.
Here.
So
You
we got
home
he
plate.
almost dropped it.
No,
I told you. He almost dropped it. We got a chips and dip spreader set here at McKeon Park for what's in the box tonight. Thank you to Honeydew Donuts where we go inside. I'm sure this will be used at some point for something, somewhere at McKeon Park, but for tonight, it's our What's in the Box, sponsored by Honeydew Donuts. We'll send it back to the field as we get a look at the new pitcher on the mound for the Orleans Firebirds as they keep it with a southpaw. The left-hander will step into the game by the name, who we will find in a second as we make some room in the booth and put back the What's in the Box items.
Well, the first thing I can tell you is it is not
Ben
Shields.
Not Ben Shields. He was phenomenal tonight,
Yes.
Zach. Couldn't have been better.
Got to tip your cap, and I'm sure the Harbor Hawks are very thankful to not have him back out for another inning of work. But if it is not Ben Shields, then who would it be but Ryan Recess out of UC San Diego?
Ryan Recess, we've seen him before, if I'm not mistaken. He's pitched in 7 games this summer. Pitched against the Harbor Hawks on July 10th. It was a scoreless inning of work. Didn't record any strikeouts. Nolan Shonowell, the leadoff man here in the bottom of the 7th inning. He's already ahead 2-0. Hawks looking to put it together, begin the inning, maybe get a couple of base runners aboard. The 2-0 to Shonowell inside 3-0.
Well, the big thing to look at for Recess in his last game, he only went 1 1/3, allowed 2 earned runs on 1 hit, but more walks than strikeouts. 8 walks to 5 strikeouts and 9 1/3. A good outing this season for Recess overall, an ERA of 3.85.
3-0 now to Shonowell. Here's the pitch called strike. I think that was a red light all the way.
Well, right now the objective, you want to get base runners on for that bottom 2 of the lineup, and Spur and Riku, guys that can both generate some threats with their speed.
Ty Langenberg is now warming in the Harbor Hawk arm barn. So I think the O'Rourke warm-up, Zach, was just him throwing a bullpen in between starts.
Yeah, I think Langenberg is a logical next step for Eric Beatty in the way this game has gone tonight. Still only 3-0, so you want to put one of your premier arms out there to keep the Hawks in this game.
See what they can do here. Shonowell's got a full count now as Recess comes set. The 3-2. Shonowell turned on it and crushed it, but it's foul. 89 miles an hour. That's his fastball up to 92 at times. And Nolan Shonowell, you might not want to throw that pitch to him again.
You see that bat speed from Nolan Shonowell? He turned on that, maybe a little bit too fast, but he was definitely thinking inside fastball all the way. Yeah, if I'm Recess, I don't throw that pitch again.
Pair of groundouts to short tonight for Shonowell. He's got a full count here. Here's a payoff pitch. Fastball fouled off. Shonowell stays alive. This time it touches 90 miles per hour.
Well, what you want if you're Shonowell, you've already worked the count full. If you can do what has pretty much become your greatest attribute at the plate right now, work a walk, get yourself on base, get the Hawks in business, that sets up some big power bats. And Drew Earhart, Christian Moore, one swing, tie the game.
The 3-2 to Shonowell. Hard hit line drive, foul once again. Nolan continues to battle and make the left-hander Recess work. That's a way to welcome the new pitcher into the game, but make him throw and continue to work to try to retire you. The 9th pitch of the at-bat will be up next.
Well, most importantly, this game is 3-0 and not 4-0 because of Nolan Shonowell, who saved a run with that diving stop.
Recess comes set, the 3-2. Breaking ball in the dirt, and the leader in walks on the Hyannis Harbor Hawks adds another. Nolan Shonowell, the 23rd time he's reached base via the free pass, and that puts the leadoff man aboard with nobody down here in the bottom half of the 7th inning.
Well, Shonowell walks, what's new. But now these are 2 guys, 5 and 6 in the lineup, Earhart and Christian Moore, 0 for 4, 4 strikeouts. So you want to get these bats going. You have a new pitcher in the game. You don't have to deal with Ben Shields anymore. Let's see now, because Shields tortured those righty bats. Let's see how Earhart responds.
He responds with a pop-up, shallow center field. It's going to drift back in, remain in the infield, and the catch is made by McCleary for out number 1. Earhart for 1 pitch, 1 down, with a man off of first, which will bring up Christian Moore. As you mentioned, he's 0 for 2. Moore in the 6th spot tonight. Pair of strikeouts on the line, batting average now at 176. It's been A bit of tough going for SEMO thus far in the Cape Cod Baseball League.
Well, if there's any time to turn things around, it'd be right about now.
Shonowell off of first. The pitch to Moore is down in the dirt, 1-0.
Well, Moore has shown the ability to read a pitcher well when he's not throwing anything in the strike zone. He's walked 4 times in a single game this year. So Christian Moore, not somebody that's necessarily going to take the bait if he can tell immediately the guy's not throwing strikes.
The 1-0. Big swing and a miss by SEMO. Count evens up at 1 apiece. O'Rourke's throwing again in the arm barn. Him and Langenberg have rotated through, so I don't really know which direction the Hawks are going to go in the next frame, but for now they're concerned with scratching a run across. Shonowell off of first, 1 down, Christian Moore at the plate, the 1-1. Moore skies it to center field. Running back now after getting frozen in the lights is the center fielder Humphrey, who makes the catch. He seemed to lose the ball for a second, but had the speed to make up for it as he makes a grab for out number 2.
Yeah, that's not something you want. You get the leadoff guy on, and you can't do anything in the next 2 plate appearances. George Corona is in a huge spot here. The Harbor Hawks only have 7 outs to work with to get 3 runs across and avoid being shut out.
That brings up George Corona, the power-hitting catcher from LA Tech. Corona tonight, 1 for 2 with a single. 2 down here in the inning. First pitch in the dirt, blocked by Gilmet. Shonowell's going. The throw to second is not in time. The throw was in time, but it was to the wrong side of the bag, and they couldn't slap the tag down on Shonowell, who steals a base and advances.
Interesting decision by Shonowell to go. A risky decision is at that, but the risk pays off, and the Harbor Hawks, again, a runner in scoring position. Can they do something with it this time?
1-0 the count to Corona. 2 down here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Nolan Shonowell off of second base after he advances. The pitch from Rysas. High and in, ball 2. Nice take there by Corona. Quiet night at McKeon Park, although the crowd is quite packed in.
Good crowd, per usual.
Not as much noise coming from the stands. They haven't had as much to cheer about tonight. That might give them something. It's a long fly ball, but it's going to stay in the yard. Coming in to get it is the left fielder Bolger to end the inning. The Hawks go down and leave a man in scoring position here in the bottom of the 7th inning. We head to the 8th on the Harbor Hawks Baseball Network.
When you need a better place to work, CapeSpace is the place to turn. In today's changing work environment, shared workspaces offer a flexible and affordable alternative to conventional office space. At CapeSpace, we offer a wide range of membership packages to suit your professional needs, complete with office amenities like high-speed Wi-Fi, coffee, printing stations, reception service, and private meeting rooms. Visit our website today to learn more.
UFOs Active Recovery. Because life keeps you on your toes. Because you want to shine when you rise. UFOam technology absorbs impact with every step, so your body doesn't have to. Because standing still gets you nowhere. Get yours today at ufos.com. Feel better. Feel the U.
Tommy O'Rourke takes the bump as he finishes up his warm-up tosses here for the top of the 8th inning. Austin Akuta and Zach Berman back in the Tim Elstrom broadcast booth as the Hawks have some work to do. O'Rourke tonight wasn't expected to be seen. He had made a start against Brewster just a couple of days ago. He had started warming up earlier, sat down for a bit, then started throwing again. We thought he might have been just throwing a bullpen, but here he is for the 8th inning.
Yeah, O'Rourke has been seen in a couple different roles, and coming into this one, ERA of 6.10 in 10.1 innings of work, but still 10 strikeouts to 6 walks. So he's a guy that I think the ERA might be a little bit deceiving. It's been 1 or 2 games where he's really struggled. It was pretty good in Brewster on Tuesday.
Yeah, 4 innings of work against Brewster, 3 runs, but just 1 earned. He had 4 hits allowed, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts to this point. So O'Rourke will take the bump here for the top of the 8th inning. It'll be the throwdown by Corona. As we begin the proceedings, it'll be Orleans coming up to the plate, Bolger, Metzdorf, and Gilmet, 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah, well, when you look at O'Rourke's numbers, and it's really that one game against Bourne on July 9th. Yeah, that game where you look at his ERA, he gave up 5 earned runs and only 1 1/3 inning. And oh, would you look who's in the booth?
Joining us now, right-handed pitcher from Kentucky, Austin Strickland. Welcome up into the broadcast booth once again.
Good to see you guys. Good to be back.
Good to have you. And it's been a couple of days since we've last talked. Anything new going on?
The only thing I see new is this new camera angle.
You like it? We got the center field camera going on, some new graphics,
That's
new
nice.
Little bit of scoreboard going on, a little bit of everything.
We need a
O'Rourke,
couple more runs on that scoreboard.
that would be nice. The Hawks offense was pretty hot last night. Took back first place in the West. That had to have been a good feeling for you guys to reclaim the first spot.
Yeah. You know, Skip gave us a good pump-up speech before the game and really got us going. Decided that 3 losses in a row was 3 too many. So didn't want to make it 4 and really got the bats going.
Fly ball center field. Caleb Spur runs in. He didn't see it. Lost it in the light. Spur will drop. It's a base hit. Bolger drops it in for a single, and that'll be the leadoff man aboard as Bolger collects his 3rd hit of the night on a bloop single that Spur lost in the light. But Austin, generally, these new guys that have joined the team, Spur, Earhart, you had Nelson and Holland Towns, they've all contributed immediately. And Steinhauer last night, how big has it been for you guys to have some of this new talent come in and contribute right away?
Yeah, you know, especially for those of us who have been here the entire time, you just kind of already expect guys who come in to come in and produce. And so far, everybody we brought in has come in, done really, really well. And, you know, playing in the cave, I wouldn't expect anything different.
Called strike to Drew Metzdorf. 0-1 now the count. O'Rourke pumping 92. The radar gun's back in action. I'm sure you guys are happy.
Love it. I don't know if you guys have noticed today, but there's some matrix stuff going on with the air, with the wind. You see center field or right center, the flag is stuck.
Yeah,
seemingly
stuck
on a
in that
tree.
tree.
Seemingly on a tree, but Seanwell just went and slid into second, and the dust just stayed. Didn't go anywhere. There's like almost negative wind. Not even like no wind. It was like negative wind.
It's eerily quiet too.
Yes,
we're in the twilight zone. I'm for sure of it. Those Harbor Hawks up there on the right field light are fake.
Yeah, well, one of them,
drones.
I think one had a fish in its feet earlier, flying across the field. It almost lost it over shortstop.
We're still waiting for a fish to get dropped into the outfield. The time's going to come. Maybe it's not this summer, but it's going to happen eventually.
That's why Spur just lost that ball. I thought it was a fish.
That might have been it. The Harbor Hawks got in his way. 1-2 the count to Metzdorf. Runner off at first is Bolger, the pitch, breaking ball outside, 2-2. O'Rourke was pretty good in his last start, Strick, and he's got a power fastball combined with a good breaking pitch that seemed to have helped him. He's been a nice addition down the stretch, too, to you guys.
Absolutely. You know, Tommy coming in from Stanford, a very good program out there, and he's come in and just really bought into what we've got going on. And, you know, he does what our whole pitching staff does. He just comes in, pounds his zone with very good pitches, and gives our team a chance to win.
Popped up, shallow infield.
Get out of there, Tommy.
Shonowell and Corona run in. They don't see it, and it drops. The second pop-up of the inning that's been lost in the lights. So now Metzdorf will have new life.
Twilight Zone.
Yeah, something odd's going on tonight at
Zone,
McKeon Park.
Whatever you want to call it.
When you're on the mound, Strick, in a situation like that, you just try to stay as far away from an infield pop-up as possible?
So at Kentucky, we are actually taught to go after every single pitch.
Really?
Every pop fly. So I've caught 3-4 in my career with the Cats, and I'd be going for that ball. If I saw it, nobody else saw it, I'd be calling it. You know, first baseman's coming in for that ball. Catcher, if he's got to turn around, that's a tough play to make. I like to think that pitchers are athletes.
Runner starts and stumbles off of first. That one's a call the ball inside. Count's going to move to full. Pitchers are certainly athletes. They don't get enough credit nowadays, but
yeah, we are.
You guys certainly hold your own.
I mean, we get more fly ball and ground ball reps in BP than some of these position players.
That's true.
You're out there shagging all day.
Pitchers are certainly athletes. Look at Bartolo Colon.
That's your example?
Hey, he's the first one that comes to
you
mind.
might not like it, but Bartolo Colon is the peak male performance.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
He's got a home run to his lines, more than I'll ever have at the major league level.
True.
He does.
Full count here. O'Rourke leans in, gets the signs from Corona behind the dish. Bulger off at first. Long pause from the right-hander. Here's the 3-2. Hard hit ground ball, foul down the third base line. And when a guy spoils so many pitches like this on 3-2, it's got to be tough for you on the mound to come back and throw yet another strike.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, good hitters are good hitters, and you got to do your best to try to keep them at bay. When you get into a situation like this, you don't want to expand the zone too much, you know, because a good hitter is going to spit on a pitch outside of the zone. But at the same time, you know they're in swing mode. You know they're going to protect, so you can't be throwing anything right down the middle and give them something to do damage with.
Looks like he broke his bat there as well.
I've seen plenty of those in the last couple of nights.
Oh, yeah.
Metzdorf will come back to the plate with a new piece of lumber. He's had quite the night tonight. A couple of hits. He also hit a fly ball over to Nolan Shonwell at first that popped out of his mitt, but he tagged Bulger out. Similar situation here with the man on first. So Bulger's technically, or Metzdorf rather, has technically been on base all 3 times.
How about Shonwell over at first these last couple days?
Diving stop.
Taking it really well.
Here's the 3-2. Chopper down the third base line, out of play. And Nolan Shonwell, we talked about his last inning, 23 walks to 20 strikeouts. Not many guys in this league have a positive walk to strikeout ratio. He sees the ball at the plate better than anybody else in this league.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, you know, Nolan being my roommate here up in the Cape, you know, we talk a lot. And, you know, being a pitcher and a hitter, rooming together, we get to have conversations with both sides of the battle. And so, you know, we talk. I've talked to him about his, you know, ability to see the ball really well. He says to see, there you go, Tommy.
It's a good pitch. The fastball, a hesitant swing by Metzdorf, but he goes down. Back to the dugout he goes. The new bat didn't help. 1 out here in the top of the 8th inning.
Okay, I got to ask you a question.
Let's hear it.
Of course, relating to maybe not Kentucky baseball, but Kentucky athletics, your school starting quarterback, Will Levis, has interesting food tastes, to say the least. You know, he went viral a couple months ago for eating a banana peel on.
What?
Yeah, you know, the peel has vitamins. The peel has vitamins and minerals that, you know, you probably wouldn't get. You're just throwing those away.
That wasn't the one that caught my eye. This guy puts mayonnaise in his coffee.
No,
and a lot of it.
What?
Yes.
Have you met him, Austin?
I have. I do know Will. We've met at FCA a couple times. He's a great guy. He's definitely a character. I wouldn't say I know him on a first name basis, but I would like to think that if I walked up and he would at least recognize my face and see me around. But what a character we've got at quarterback, and it makes the football games a lot of fun. You know, he's a really solid quarterback. I don't think he gets a lot of credit for some of the things he can do, but I mean, he can really move around out there. He gets the crowd into it. He makes some big plays. I can't wait to be back there in the fall and see him run around.
Garrett Gilmet turns on one and sends it high and deep to left field. Moore turns around and he makes the catch. Christian Moore spun and circled back, but makes a pretty big catch to save what could have been extra bases for out number 2. Retreating back to first is Jack Bulger.
Hey, there's your negative wind coming into play, your twilight zone. That ball, most nights, I think that ball carries out, but it just died. Stopped at the warning track.
So, Austin, we were talking just a minute about football. We were talking to Jonathan Fincher about a month ago in the booth. He said on Saturday game days, the baseball team has like a 7 a.m. lift or something down at LA Tech, so he doesn't get to experience a lot of the tailgating. Do you guys have any baseball-related activities on Saturday at Kentucky?
You know, we definitely don't have a 7 a.m. lift. I'll tell you that. I'm very, very thankful for that. We'll have some guys who might have to do a couple activities, just depending on what throwing group you're in. But, you know, our typical schedule, we'll do inter-squads Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. And Coach kind of leaves Saturdays for us. You know, we obviously have to be responsible and know what we should and shouldn't do. I think we do a great job of that. But he knows that Saturdays are for the boys, and we get to have a good time.
1-1 now the count to Tommy Hope. He's 0 for 3 tonight.
Now, Hope, we've seen this guy both out of the pen and at the plate. He is, interestingly so.
It's like Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, Shohei Ohtani. If Shohei Ohtani had a .59 batting average.
Oh,
ouch.
Don't hold back, Zach Berman.
Ouch.
Nah, but he has been lights out in the bullpen.
Poor guy.
Stop. You know, you can't always have your cake and eat it too. You know, not everybody can be Shohei.
It's true.
I mean, that man is superhuman. What's up? And if you're hitting and pitching in the Cape, you're already better than everybody else in the Cape. Except anybody else who might be hitting.
Well, it saves a roster spot, which is huge.
Yes,
that too.
Like we talked about earlier, off days are so important. And for you guys, the off day on Thursday was monumental, I think, in terms of resetting. But I know Coach said you guys had a cookout together. Is that a big part of the bounce back to last night?
That's a good jump.
Oh, that's a hard hit fly ball deep to right field.
Don't do it. Hit the matrix. Hit the matrix.
Sirota jumps and makes the catch.
I'm telling you, it's true.
We are in the twilight zone.
We are in the twilight zone here at
McKeon Park. Mike Sirota is making plays, and the Firebirds strand a run. There is no wind, there is no sound, and there is not much happening besides the Mike Sirota show out in right field. Austin Strickland, thank you for joining us once again in the broadcast booth.
Glad to be here. See you guys soon.
We'll see you in the bottom half of the 8th inning on the Harbor Hawks Baseball Network.
Best ever? Good question. Wait, why do you sound like Dr. J in your head? I've always sounded like Dr. J in my head, which means Dr. J's outside voice sounds like my inside voice? Which Coke? The doc would know. He got the world to call him doctor without going to med school. There's only one best ever.
If you live here, fun is your thing. If you live here, tough is your thing. Smart is your thing. Caring is your thing. If you live in Massachusetts, community is your thing. Since 1972, the Massachusetts State Lottery has provided over $25 billion to help cities and towns with the things they need most. If you live here, giving is your thing.
When Alaska Airlines needed a partner for the complex operations of travel, they made the switch to T-Mobile. Our 5G has Alaska Airlines and their customers covered, from major hubs to remote destinations, with 5G coverage ready now for the demands of today and the future. T-Mobile's network powers Alaska Airlines as they deliver next-level care for all customers. 5G ready now. That's how unconventional thinking is better for business.
Welcome back inside McKeon Park. New pitcher taking the bump for the Orleans Firebirds, the right-hander Cole Stallings. And before we tell you more about Cole, let's take a look at the scores around the Cape Cod Baseball League. Harwich and Brewster. The Whitecaps lead at 8-5. Katuitt and Wareham. The Wareham Gateman, Zach Berman, 6-2. They've stunned the Kettleers.
That game's gone final.
And it's gone final. That is huge because if the Hawks lose tonight, they don't give up any ground.
Yeah,
the YD Red Sox and the Falmouth Anglers are in action as well. 6-2, or the Falmouth Commodores, that is. Jeez, 6-2. Anglers and the Bourne Braves, that's where I was going next. 1-1, they're all tied up. So Wareham beating Katuitt helps the Hawks, certainly. But that other team you got to worry about, the Bourne Braves, 1-1 against Chatham. Got to keep your eye on that. Thank you to our producers for putting together these scores from around the league as you get a shot now of Cole Spur stepping into the plate. Or Caleb Spur, that is. Cole Stallings on the mound. Here comes the windup. First pitch of the night from Stallings is inside for a ball, 1-0. It's now Jacob Stinson out in right field, replacing Tommy Hopefee.
That flag still hasn't moved. I'm starting to get a little bit freaked out here.
No wind, nothing. No gusts, no breeze, not a thing. The 1-0 to Spurs, a called strike, 1-1. Cole Stallings on the season, 11 2/3 innings of work. He's allowed 12 hits, 5 runs, 10 walks, and 14 strikeouts. Not the most impressive number from the right-hander, but he has, when his stuff's on, like that curveball there at 77, it can be really effective.
Well, we've seen the Harbor Hawks hit off some good relievers late in games this season. Stallings is not an exception to the rule. A teammate of Austin Amaral down at Stetson.
Line drive, base hit. Spur starts the inning with some speed on the bases. Leadoff single, and the Harbor Hawks are going to look to put a rally together here in the bottom of the 8th.
And this is where you really like 8 through 3 in this lineup. Spur, Riku, Jeb, Mike Sirota, Cole McConnell. All 5 of those guys have incredible speed. Nolan Shonowell in the cleanup spot, he can run as well. But you have so much mobility on these base paths, but you also have to be careful. You don't want to get thrown out in the bags, and Garrett Gilmet has been quite good behind the plate tonight. Let's see what Riku can dial up here to try and kickstart what would be a pretty remarkable rally.
Riku Nishida stands in now from the left-handed batter's box. 0 for 2 tonight. He's made contact both times. It was a ground ball to short and a ground ball back to the pitcher. Spur has solid speed over at first. First pitch to Nishida. Checks his swing. They'll say he went around. 0-1 the count to Riku.
Well, I got an idea. I'm not sure how good of an idea it is, but with a righty on the mound, and you got first base and Jones playing back, and Urso playing all the way back at second base, I like a push bunt down to right field.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good idea too, but he is down 0-1 in the count.
So this next pitch would be the pitch
It
to do it.
Yeah, unless he watches the ball go by. Nishida wipes off the plate. Stands in. Pickoff move to first. Spur is back in standing. Good crowd remains on hand, and they've definitely helped the Hawks in some situations this summer. And Coach Beatty had a lot to say about that in the pregame show. He said, while you're not focused on the big picture, you want to go 1-0 every night. You want to win each game one at a time. You got to think, he said it himself, that the crowd has showed up a lot this summer to help this Hawks team, and you've heard them in big moments be loud.
Well, all it takes is one hit, one big play, and this crowd's going to go bananas. You know, they got a lot of energy bottled up.
Hawks hats all around as it's host family appreciation night at McKeon Park. 1-1 the count to Riku, the pitch from Stallings, and that is a phenomenal changeup to get a guy swinging who doesn't go out of the zone very often. 1-2 now the count to Riku.
Riku actually tipped his cap back at Stallings in a nod of, okay, you got me there. But now we're going to see a completely different approach from Nishida with 2 strikes.
Nishida stands in the left-handed batter's box. The 1-2 breaking ball misses a bit outside, maybe a bit high. 2-2 the count.
Hello, all the way down to 75 miles an hour. So Stallings can go low and slow if need be.
2-2 Stallings with the pitch. Nishida fouls it off. Riku spoils a high fastball. And now he'll try to do what he does best, shorten up, foul off some tough pitches, and stay alive to put the ball in play.
I want to see here if Stallings is going to try and get Riku to chase. For some reason, I don't think he throws this next pitch in the zone.
Stallings with the 2-2. Nishida, ground ball back up the middle, going to be a tough play. Urso tags the runner, throw to first is in time. That is a heads-up baseball play by J.D. Urso as he tags Caleb Spur going to second. That's the only way you're going to turn 2 on Riku Nishida. What a smart play by the second baseman.
That was an incredible display of baseball IQ from J.D. Urso. You know, usually your first instinct is, as a second baseman in that situation is to flip the ball to the shortstop for the double play. And instead, Urso recognizing who is running down the first base line, that might be the only time all year you're going to read on your scorebook, Riku Nishida grounds into a double play.
Back to the top of the order now with 2 down here in the home half of the 8th inning. Mitch Jebb, 2 for 3 tonight. He has 2 of the Harbor Hawks' 4 hits. That pitch, called strike to Mitch, 0-1. The windup and the 0-1 pitch. Jebb slaps it to left field. It's going to get down for another hit. Mitch Jebb has himself a 3-hit game. He takes a big turn from first and will retreat. Mitch Jebb, another 3-hit game as he raises his batting average even further. You can't get him out.
350. It was 353 coming into this at bat.
Now 358 after the hit.
Oh my
Mitch
gosh.
Jebb has climbed the ladder and asserted himself into the most valuable player conversation in the Cape Cod Baseball League with that 2-out single. Raises the batting average to 358 on the season.
That double play just stings a little bit more, which really speaks to what a heads-up play by J.D. Urso, because we're having a very different conversation right now if he doesn't make that play.
Called strike to Mike Sirota, who's now behind 0-1. Sirota, uncharacteristically 0 for 2 tonight with a pair of strikeouts. He does have a walk. And that 0 for 2, Zach, has dropped his batting average to 365.
That's still pretty good, I'd say.
Not bad at all. 2 down here, bottom half of the 8th inning. So Jebb off at first. Will draw a throw over, but he's back in standing.
Oh boy. We might have some trade action going on in the bigs, but...
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. One of the Yankees' top prospects, Everson Pereira, was just pulled in a tie game at the top of the 8th inning.
Oh, boy.
Hashtag hug watch. I mean, it is that time of year. Trade deadline is what? Tuesday?
Tuesday. I think maybe 4 p.m., I want to say.
4 p.m. on
No,
Tuesday?
I can't confirm that. I don't remember the exact time, but that sounds about right.
Really started up big last night with Luis Castillo getting traded to the Seattle Mariners.
The 1-1. Sirota pops it foul out of play, 1-2.
I had a conversation last night with Bourne broadcaster Max Tanzer, who two of us go back last summer to the Expedition League. He's a Seattle native, a huge Mariner fan. I kind of just asked him, like, hey, Max, where are you at? He's like, I can't believe we gave up that much, but I'm like shaking right now.
Well, that's the thing. This deadline, there's not much pitching available. And like I was talking about earlier, a bunch of teams want to compete now that there's the extra playoff spot. The 1-2 is in the dirt to Sirota 2-2. So, Zach, more teams than ever are going to be buying, and more teams than ever are going to be willing to give up more to compete, but there's just not that much pitching out there this year.
I mean, who's left in terms of, like,
Jose,
playoff caliber arms?
Right. You might get...
Carlos Rodon, Frankie Montas.
I don't think Rodon's getting traded, though. I mean, I don't know. It's a tough call. The Giants are kind of right on that fringe. But Montas, yes, I think he's going. You have Jose Quintana, Martin Perez, but they're not number one starters. Sirota swings and misses, and he goes down on strikes to end the inning. We have 1 inning of baseball left. Orleans leads it 3-0. The Hawks are going to look to keep it there as we head to the last inning of work on the Harbor Hawks Baseball Network.
Diet Coke? Were you my mom?
You should be so lucky, because you know what moms do? Well, I suppose we should start with the whole giving you life thing. It seems like that should be enough. No? Okay. What about her ability to send shockwaves through the neighborhood without saying a word? Or whip up a ridiculous handmade costume that you forgot to tell her about? Not to make you happy, but because she had a reputation to uphold. She invented rideshare, called it carpool, and did it for free. She didn't need those dating apps either. You copied her jeans, her spin, her shoes, her scrunchie, and whether you realize it or not, her music.
Why not?
Oh, and she can win any argument in 4 words.
Because I said so.
Everything you're trying to do, she's already done it, did it better, and she did it with a Diet Coke in her hand. So, drink what your mama gave you.
Austin Amaral takes the mound. He's all smiles here to begin the top of the 9th inning. Looking to get some work in here. Amaral started the year as the most efficient starter in the Harbor Hawks rotation. He ran into a tough Katuitt team, Zach, a couple of times in a row, which inflated Austin's ERA, but he is a really talented pitcher.
Yeah, we've seen Amaral at his best. I would say it was one of those Bourne games.
6 innings,
yeah,
I think.
6 innings against what's turned out to be a very good Bourne Braves team. But this is a big spot for Amaral. 3 runs, not insurmountable by any stretch of the imagination. So the Harbor Hawks can still come back in the bottom of the 9th, maybe at least get a tie and a point. But Amaral's in a nice spot here to not just maybe get some confidence back, but keep his team in this game.
So Austin Amaral, the right-handed pitcher from Stetson, of a new pitching coach heading his way for this upcoming season. Austin's very excited to work with the new guy, and He said it will help because Austin's not used to using the advanced stats or the analytics that are now in the game. He doesn't get too much work on spin rates, so he's excited to see the transformation of that program and get to use spin rates more, talk about RPM, a little bit of everything. And that's kind of where the game's going, Zach. And from pitch comm to pitch rotation, all this different stuff that's going on now, it's kind of where things are moving, even at this level.
Yeah, no, I think it's Brewster that uses PitchCom now.
Yes, the Whitecaps. That's the system where I think the dugout can press a button. There's a couple different ways. The way Brewster was using it, it looked like the dugout was pressing a button that goes into the catcher's ear, and it would say in the catcher's ear, fastball, so they know what to call. At the major league level, the catchers have a wristband, and they press fastball on it or change up or slider, and it goes into the pitchers. I think the pitchers have something to do with it too, maybe in their hats. It's all different, like the way that each team uses it, but the way Brewster's using it is dugout to catcher, and the catcher has an earpiece in. Amaral will have to contend with Nick McGlory to start things off here in the top of the 9th inning. 1-1 the count to the shortstop. Called strike on the outside part of the plate. 1-2. There's Amaral's slider at 84.
Well, this is a big outing for Amaral because his last 3 outings, he's given up 4, 3, and 4 earned runs respectively against Katuitt, and Falmouth. But you want to see a guy that we've seen him at his best early on in the season. If he comes back to what his form was, that June 28th game when he went 6 innings at Bourne, he could be an absolute weapon for the Harbor Hawks, whether it be as a starter or in a bullpen role down the line.
Breaking ball in the dirt. 2-2 now the count to McGlory. He's had a solid day at the dish. Got a hit, 1 for 3, and a run scored.
What? Trash? Yeah, you want to start it?
2-2. Top of the 9th inning here at McKeon Park. There's been an odd game. No wind at all in the ballpark because that one's hit back up the middle. Amaral smothers it, throws to first in time. Nice defense there by the pitcher, who certainly can field his position for out number 1.
That's a great play by Austin Amaral. Was hit right back at him. Made the simple play, went down, got it, picked it up, and threw it back at. The Harbor Hawks fielding has been a point of contention in this last week or so. But again, tonight, another game where the Harbor Hawks have been really good in the field.
It's a big bounce back because a couple nights ago they had 6 errors against the Katuitt Kettleers, and they bounced back tonight. Not a single mistake after another clean game last night. First pitch to Luke Keischel, called strike, 0-1. Top of the order here for the Orleans Firebirds. Keischel tonight, 1 for 4. He's also drawn a walk. The 0-1. This is low to Luke Keischel.
Well, my big question is, why to me is this game so important? Well, Orleans is the only team coming into this top of the 9th inning that the Harbor Hawks have not lost a game to this season. And the Harbor Hawks are going to have to score 4 runs in the bottom of the 9th if they want to pull off a season sweep of any team in the Cape Cod Baseball League.
That'd be huge. The Hawks,
I don't think they swept anybody last year.
That's a good question. I don't believe so, but I believe they only played the teams in the East Division 1 time on the road, 1 time at home, so it's possible. Not off the top of my head.
How many games was last season?
40, but there were some rainouts, so 8 and 28 makes 36.
Okay.
We only had 1 postponement this year, I believe. It was the Harwich game that got the doubleheader bumped back from the Sunday to the Monday after.
Right, that
was it. Otherwise, it's been not a lot of weather this summer, just a lot of heat lately. The 4 rainouts completely last summer because they did cancellations, no postponements. The 1-2 cut on and missed. That's a big strikeout for Austin Amaral as he's worked 2 up, 2 down here in the top half of the last inning.
And that's the Austin Amaral that we know and love, and that's a big confidence booster. Striking out the best hitter on this Orleans Firebirds team, that's a good sign of things to come for number 10 in white.
How about the start tonight from Ben Shields, the left-hander for the Firebirds? We'll touch on him once more. 6 innings, 3 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts. He was absolutely sensational, and he's a big reason the Hawks have a 0 in the run column.
Yeah, Ben Shields. I don't think we can give the knack player of the game to an opposing player, but he is the player of the game because he was just lights out spectacular. 3 runs, or 3 hits, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts, no runs. Spectacular. You can't even put it into words. Oh,
that's high and tight. 2-1 now the count to Cam Jones. He's got a couple hits tonight and part of his 2-for-4 effort with a run scored. Here's the windup by Amaral. The 2-1 pitch, cut on and missed. Count moves to 2-2. Here comes the 2-2. That one's hit well to right field. Sirota ranges after it, makes the catch. 1, 2, 3. The Firebirds go down in order here in the top of the 9th inning. Last at-bats of the night for the Hawks coming up as they got work to do chasing 3. Bottom of the 9th inning coming your way on the Harbor Hawks Baseball Network.
When Alaska Airlines needed a partner for the complex operations of travel, they made the switch to T-Mobile. Our 5G has Alaska Airlines and their customers covered, from major hubs to remote destinations, with 5G coverage ready now for the demands of today and the future. T-Mobile's network powers Alaska Airlines as they deliver next-level care for all customers. 5G ready now. That's how unconventional thinking is better for business.
This BBB seal is a badge of honor. It's a sign that this is a business you can trust.
Hi. Oh, this is amazing.
Each year, millions of people see the BBB seal on a door or a window or a website and breathe a little easier. See the seal and know you've made the right choice. Find a business you can trust. Ask BBB.
If you live here, fun is your thing. If you live here, tough is your thing. Smart is your thing. Caring is your thing. If you live in Massachusetts, community is your thing. Since 1972, the Massachusetts State Lottery has provided over $25 billion to help cities and towns with the things they need most. If you live here, giving is your thing.
Bottom of the 9th inning coming your way at McKeon Park. And before we begin the proceedings, let's take a look at what's ahead for the Hyannis Harbor Hawks. Tomorrow, Sunday, July 31st at Red Wilson Field, the Hawks hit the road to play the YD Red Sox, a 4:30 first pitch. Monday, the Hawks are back home, the final home regular season game of the season. Going to be a great crowd at McKeon Park as they host Harwich. We invite you all to come down to the park for a 6 p.m. first pitch. And then Tuesday, August 2nd, last regular season game of the year for the Harbor Hawks as they travel to Bourne, or Buzzards Bay if you prefer, to face the Bourne Braves at 6 p.m. Their last game before the Hawks hit the playoffs. They've already clinched a playoff spot. And they just got to finish up here tonight against the Orleans Firebirds, and hopefully they can scrape some runs across in the bottom half of the 9th inning. First pitch to Cole McConnell, misses low.
New pitcher is Ryan Barassa, formerly of South Dakota State. He started this season in the Northwoods League. He pitched the Bismarck Larks.
The Bismarck what?
Larks.
What's a lark?
I think it's a bird.
The 1-0 to McConnell, chops it foul. Count evens up at 1-1. It'll be McConnell, Shanuel, Earhard, the 3 due up for the Hawks this inning, barring any pinch hitting situations. 3, 4, 5 in this order. McConnell tonight is 0 for 3, unfortunately. Hasn't been the hottest game for the left-handed hitter.
Yeah, the big noticeable thing for the Harbor Hawks is 2 through 6 in the lineup. No hits tonight.
2-1 now the count. The Firebirds looking to slam the door as Ryan Barassa has only pitched in 1 game, but this is a save situation for the right-hander. So 2-1, McConnell goes after a 91-mile-an-hour fastball. It's foul tipped, hung on to by Gilmet. Count evens up at 2-2.
Yeah, Yeah, and if you look at the standings, if Orleans can shut the door here, they would jump ahead of Harwich by 2 points, considering Harwich lost tonight. And while Bourne and Chatham are tied at 1, oh boy, that creates quite a situation. Orleans a little bit of breathing room for their playoff spot, but now you have Harwich and Chatham in the Thunderdome down there at the bottom of the East with 1 playoff spot remaining between the two.
2-2 the count. Barassa has actually pitched 6 innings. I was reading, for some reason, they have him listed amongst the hitters as well. I don't know if he took an at-bat or not, but he's pitched 6 innings on the Cape this summer, 4 hits, 2 runs, 11 strikeouts. This guy has electric stuff. He's their closer now down the stretch. No saves just yet. It's been Chris Clark who has 3 of the team's 5 saves. They're going to turn here to the right-hander, Barassa, to try to lock the door. Full count now to Cole McConnell. The right-hander brings home the pitch. McConnell grounds it foul, stays alive.
Well, here's the biggest narrative at play. YD has lost 4 in a row, and they are losing big tonight to Falmouth. So odds are, barring a crazy comeback by the Red Sox, YD is going to go into tomorrow's matchup only 2 games ahead of Brewster. So that first spot in the East, not as all locked up as you'd think.
The 3-2 to McConnell. He swings and he misses. Down goes Cole McConnell on strikes for out number 1, as the Hawks are down to their final 2.
It's just been that kind of night. That's a great pitch sequence there from Barassa as he dials up the breaking ball a little bit high. Looked like a changeup there, and McConnell just couldn't catch up to it.
So Nolan Shonowell will stand at the plate here. 1 down. In the bottom of the 9th inning, Hyannis trails it 3-0. Barassa comes set. Here's the pitch. Shonowell chops it foul.
Shonowell's had a good game despite not reaching base except for 1 time. He's been great in the field. That diving stop saved this game from getting any further than 3-zip.
The pitch from Barassa. Shonowell goes after a filthy changeup, 0-2.
That changeup, man. That's what he got McConnell on. He just got the same pitch. A little bit lower this time, but Shonowell could do nothing with it.
Barassa, 7 strikes, just 3 balls so far, and he's ahead of Nolan Shonowell, 0-2. The right-hander comes set. Here comes the 0-2. Breaking ball hit on the ground to second. J.D. Urso squares it up, throws to first, and in time, as just holding the bag is Cam Jones for out number 2.
Nice stretch there by Cam Jones. Urso never had a clean play on the ball, so he hurried it out of his hand and just couldn't get a clean read on it. However, Cam Jones did, and the Harbor Hawks are 1 out away from their first shutout loss of the season.
Drew Earhart stands in 0 for 3 tonight. Last out for the Harbor Hawks. 0-1 now the count to Earhart. The Harbor Hawks in danger of being shut out. Earhart looking to attempt to get the Hawks on the board. Called strike, 0-2, and Hyannis is suddenly down to their final out and suddenly in danger of being shut out for the first time all season. The Hawks have not been shut out all season, Zach.
No, they have not. And I think, we're game 41 here?
In the dirt, 1-2.
Game 41, you still haven't been shut out. That really does speak to how good the bats have been all year, as opposed to, oh boy, they're going to get shut out by Orleans here in game 41. And I don't know if you can necessarily put this one on the bats as much as you can just tip your cap to Ben Shields and this Orleans pitching staff, which gave their A++ game tonight.
1-2 the count. Barassa comes set. Here comes the pitch to Earhart. He chops it off of himself. Foul at the plate. Count will hold where it is. It's not over quite yet. 1-2, 2 down. The Hawks down to their final strike, their final out. In danger of being shut out for the first time in the 2022 season. Barassa looking to shut the door, the 1-2, and Earhart is not going to go down easily. Fouls off another. Good battle brewing between the third baseman and the right-handed pitcher.
Yeah, it's a good at-bat here from Earhart, who's had a tough game, but You know, a single would be nice for him to just not even keep this game alive, but would be good on his stat sheet, good in his ledger. Would love to see him get in the hit column.
The 1-2. Doesn't go, holds up, and it's ball 2. The count leaving up. Good AB here for the right-handed hitter.
And we've seen some good at-bats this season and tonight from these Harbor Hawks. Just, it's a shame that they can't show for any runs.
Here comes the 2-2. Misses for ball 3. How about Drew Earhart? He's not going down without a fight.
Now, you like to see this late in the game. Good fight, good battle here from Drew Earhart. And, hey, if you can just figure out a way to get on base, you can just barely keep this game alive.
Barasa comes set, the 8th pitch of the at-bat. Swung on and missed. The tag is applied, and the ball game is over. For the first time in 2022, the Hyannis Harbor Hawks have been shut out. 3-0 the final score as the Firebirds come into McKeon Park and stall the Harbor Hawks' momentum and snatch away a victory.
Well, just what a complete game from this Orleans pitching staff. Ben Shields comes in, tosses 6 scoreless, and then the bullpen does the rest of the job. And, you know, for the Harbor Hawks, it's a tough loss. One that they're not going to necessarily lose any ground in the standings with Katuitt losing. But on a night like tonight, you just have to tip your cap to the Orleans arms coming out and
Ben Shields,
slamming the door.
Starter, 6 innings, 3 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts. He was phenomenal for the Firebirds. The bullpen comes in after him. Risas, Stallings, and Barasa combined for 3 shutout innings of their own as the Harbor Hawks, with just 5 total hits tonight, 3 of which from Mitch Jebb. The start tonight went to Magdil Cotto. He allowed just 3 runs across 5 innings. And how about the Harbor Hawks arm barn? They come in 4 innings of shutout baseball. Isaiah Rhodes led the way. He came in a tough spot, even had the bases loaded before striking out a couple batters. He is our NAC at Cape Cod player of the game, Isaiah Rhodes. 1 inning of work, 1 hit, no runs, no walks, but 2 strikeouts. The stat line doesn't pop off to 1 inning of work, but the situation Rhodes was in, this game could have quickly gotten out of hand, and Isaiah Rhodes prevented it from happening.
Yeah, no, you have to give credit to the Harbor Hawks bullpen. They kept the game close, and at the end of the day, it was just a battle of the pitching staffs in Orleans for the night. 1 out at the end.
So Isaiah Rhodes, the NAC Cape Cod player of the game, as we mentioned, just 1 inning of work, but a big spot for him to come into as he continues to be effective for the Hawks. Now 9 2/3 on his season with 15 punch-outs as the side armor continues to be effective. But for the Harbor Hawks, they're back in action tomorrow night at YD. Sunday, July 31st, a 4:30 first pitch as the Hawks hit the road. That will wrap things up here from McKeon Park. For our entire production crew, Mike Maynard, Abby Stokes, Ella Gibson, our director of broadcasting, Harrison Myers, our sideline reporter, Bria Lossick, my broadcast partner, Zach Berman, and Drake Toll, who's watching at home. I'm Austin Nakuda saying thank you for watching. Have a great night.